Damas y caballeros, el día de hoy nos acompaña el buen amigo Joey Jams Jimenez.
Bienvenido.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys for reaching out. You know, proud to be here. Always a pleasure to be able to be part of stuff like this.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you, man. Thank you for making time. You're not too far away from here, right?
No, I'm in Alice, la Tierra Cuyatera. That's what we call it. It's like 2 hours, or an hour and 50 minutes or something.
Nice. And I was just checking out, pues obviously before you came to the podcast, I wanted to do a little research, you know, as far as, you know, what you're up to y todo. And I saw an interview where you were mentioning that Alice is the home of Tejano music.
That's what they say.
Okay.
They say that they call it, that's where it began. I really don't know the 100% like story of it. But when I meet people where people ask me, like, where are you from? I'm like, well, I'm from Seguin, born and raised, but I've been in Alice for going on 10 years next year. And they're like, oh, that's the birthplace of Tejano music. And I'm like, I hear that, but I don't know the exact story.
Yeah.
So I would hate to give you misinformation.
But definitely a lot of legends have definitely come out of there. And
for sure.
there, I know for sure. There's a museum there too, right?
Yeah, the Tejano Roots.
The
Tejano Roots Museum. And you know what's funny? I've been there already going on 10 years and I've never been.
Really?
And it's weird because I'm friends with the guys that own it.
Orale.
Like with shout out to Ruben and Ted Lopez from the Tejano Roots Hall of Fame. And,
I don't blame you, brother, because I'm right next door to a pulga and I've never been there either.
Is that the pulga that has the support ground system?
Right
here at the corner,
which is on the corner. Yeah,
I was telling my wife, I said, "Man, I don't ever want to play on that stage. The posters are all
and they leave them up there year round, man. Like,
do they really?
They never take them down. So
it's been out of commission for a while, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to compete. I'm sure you've heard of La Pulga in Alamo.
My wife, believe it or not, my wife has been wanting to go to that to see el famoso bronco. Yeah.
¿Ya lo corrieron de ahí, no?
¿Did they?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to go as a character. You can't go as yourself. That's how that pulga works.
Nah, it's all fun, man. Lopos, the bands that play there, it's good to go just have a drink or just chill out, hear some good music y pues ver el show. Se pone con madre. Pero the reason I was mentioning it that is porque aquí de la raza de aquí from this pulga, they were trying to compete with them.
Oh, okay.
They were trying to bring in crowd también with live bands y todo, pero pues I think you can't trap lightning twice in a bottle, man. Yeah. I think what happened there, La Pulga de Alamo,
organically it did. Yeah.
Pasó
it
solo.
Became what it became, right?
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean,
but you know what's I didn't mean to cut you off, but what's been freaking me out about the whole Valley vibe is how it's become like the forefront of like so many things that people talk about, whether it's through music, through Bronco 956, whatever, like just the whole Como quema, all that stuff, like it became like
a culture.
Yeah, a culture, exactly.
Yeah. Being home to so many great musicians. I mean, legendary bands. I mean, you got Grupo Más, you got Roberto and Bobby Pulido.
Oh yeah.
So it's it's a pot of different styles of music.
There's a bunch of amazing musicians that have came out of the Valley.
COVID. They came out of COVID.
No. Well, I'm just saying, like in general, like a lot of the monster Tejano musicians from back in the day. You got from the Serratas to Los Únicos, the Fabulosos Cuatro, Chachos, all them from
Gilberto
Pérez, Conjunto, Tolín de la Rosa, all of them. Like talk about legend. Like I recently, last year I played for the first time. I've been helping out Jaime Dianda with the Chamacos.
Definitely.
And for the first time I played at La Lomita Park.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out when we pulled in and it said Tony de la Rosa Drive. I've never seen that. Mm-hmm. So I took a picture. I was like, wow, that is so awesome, man. And then the whole vibe of that place, a lot of my friends have told me like, dude, that's Conjunto, like landmark right there, So when I went and to experience it and just the whole essence of that place, it's so legendary, and it was super awesome, man. And I got to meet the owner right before he passed. He just recently passed.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
I got his name like right in my mind. I can't remember, pero I've actually been there not to play, pero I went to go set up some PA some time back. And I got to meet him and everything. And I mean, I had heard his name before, and I knew more or less who he was. Pero Pepe Maldonado.
There you go, Pepe Maldonado. Yeah,
that's the name.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, man.
But and I had heard right when I got there. So I remember Jaime, no, Jaime wasn't even there. When we got there, we were I walked in and I was like, okay, because I normally carry my rig.
Yeah.
So when I walked in, I saw it had that stage had a pearl rig, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's an old school export, which is one of my favorite drum kits, you know? So I went and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use this. I'm just gonna put my stands. So I went and I started hitting the drums. I was like, what the heck? So I put my hand on the bottom and they were ripped. I was like, oh, heck no. So then I started moving it, you know, taking it off. I was like, I'm going to put my drum set. Yeah. So I took it off, and then a buddy of mine had mentioned, he had hit me, he goes, hey, man, Pepe didn't tell you nothing? I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, dude, he don't let nobody move nothing. Like, you play with what's there. Ooh, I was like, really? I go, no, he never told me nothing. But what Jaime introduced me to him, and he was super nice and super welcoming, you know. And Jaime told me it's Joey's first time here, and I was just like, wow, man. And I'll never forget Jaime telling me, like, we're going to play like 3 hours. Like it's a night of nothing but conjunto, right? Yeah. So on one of the breaks, I went outside and I was catching a breath, and a couple dudes came out to introduce themselves, and I was talking with them, and they were like, "Dude, this is like a familia, bro, here at La Lomita." You know, he goes, "I know you noticed that how packed it is in there, because I mean, people started showing up at 4:00.
Yeah,
and I was
like, it's what? An early event.
Yeah,
I think it runs 6 to 9. Something like that, right?
But I was tripping out. Like I was I have never. That was my first time there, so I didn't know that's how. It was. Yeah, exactly.
And then on a Sunday, como que it gives you that Sunday family barbecue vibe.
Yes.
You know, when you just, you know, prendes el asador atrás de la casa and you're just jamming to the, you know, oldies and everything. So
and it was cool is that like those guys that were out there talking to me, they were like, you know, welcome in, you know, because they knew of my history, like through Signo and the Cumbia King, like everything, and they're like, wow, and you're here at La Lomita with all of us. So that was really cool that, you know,
to get that experience.
Exactly.
No, that's awesome, man, that you got to experience a little piece of culture del Valle, de aquí del 956. Y como siempre, pues we're always happy to have you, man. Every time that I hear you're out here either jamming or doing interviews or podcasts, siempre like it's a good feeling, man.
Yeah, man.
No es porque estés presente, but you're you're an icon, man, among musicians for us.
Thank you, man.
We really look up to you. You're a reference for sure.
Thank you, man.
Siempre, you know, we're always, oh, no, como le hace Joey aquí. Either an arrangement you did or the way you set up your kit, stuff like that.
I remember meeting ¿cómo se llama? Victor Perez. Shout out to Victor Perez. He plays drums for what they call the Profugos or something like that.
Profugos.
Those guys, yeah. So I met Victor when I first joined Signo. Right. And we did a gig here in I think it was in Mission, and when he told me, because obviously he's a drummer, right? So he said that as soon as he walked into the club and he saw the drum set, he goes, "Oh, este vato no es norteño. este vato es rockero." Just by looking at the setup.
Yeah.
Then I got to meet him, and he was like, "No," like he was freaking. You know, a lot of people. It's funny because a lot of people would freak out the way I would have my drum set up, because I obviously I had it set up, rock set up, because I'm a rocker, and I've always wanted to be like Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. It's my favorite drummer.
We're definitely gonna talk about that, man.
And people would be like you have a Tom here, and then you have a Tom over here, like, and I'm like, yeah, man, like, you know, I've always looked at it like this, like especially in my peers, right? Like if I wanted to be like everybody else, I was going to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
the idea is to stand out, man.
Exactly.
Do something different. And you've definitely been really good at doing that, man.
Thank you.
I think one of the elements that really freaks people out is having that just one tom on top and then the 2 floor toms on the bottom. And it's hard to believe that somebody can play so well like that. Porque it looks hard.
Yeah.
I mean, because as a drummer, I'm used to like having everything aquí, like cerquita. You know, your cowbells, your toms, your snare. Pero tener eso, I mean, is it like...
What's a trip is that I record like that.
Okay.
Like the standard, so to speak, you know, with the toms, and it's a trip because a lot of times studio drum kits are already pretty much set up like that. And sometimes, they've allowed me the freedom, to come in and be like, well, set it up how you normally set it up, you know? And I'm like, no, that's fine, you know, because to be honest with you, like, yes, it is my setup of the way I have it, you know, the way the plot is, but I'm, you know, when it's standard, it's easier to play. You know what I mean? Everything's right there. So that's how come there's times like there's a song in particular called El Vaso de Rama that I recorded with Signo, and I did this riff right before it goes back to the music. right? There's a drum riff right before it goes back to the there's a drum riff right there. And I did this thing when I went from it was like a crisscross from the 10-inch tom and the hi-hat to the 12-inch tom and the hi-hat, but it was easy because everything was right in front of me.
Close.
You know what I mean? So when I tried to produce it live, when I would produce it live, I had to do the 12, the crisscross, and then the 14 because the 10 was over here. You know what I'm saying? But I mean,
your 10 over here on the side, right?
yeah, and have it
by your hi-hat.
it's crazy because the thing is that I was not a fan of the standard look.
Yeah.
Of course, I realize that when you set up your drum set standard, and the reason why I'm saying that right now is because when I put my new band together, Loco Pacion, the tribute to La Mafia, we played our first show, and I set up my drum set the way I normally set it up, right? But then I was looking at it, and I'm like, I get that it's my drum setup, but to me, it's like this wasn't for what. Like I wasn't convinced playing La Mafia songs with my drum set set up like that. So I say, you know what? To make it more authentic looking, old school, I'm gonna go back to the standard.
Okay.
And that's how. So when I play with Loca Pacion, my drum set is standard setup. Right. With the splash in the middle, just like the way Michael from La Mafia had it. But the difference between mine and his is I don't have an 8-inch tom. He had an 8, 10, 12. Yeah. I just have a 10, 12 because I have the cowbell right there. Yeah. But yeah, so with Loca Pacion, I put back to the standard setup just for that. With Jaime and everybody else that I play with, I still do the one rack and whatnot.
That's awesome, man. Well, man, there's a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to music and drones, man. And I know we can definitely be here all night.
Yes, sir.
But there's so much that I also want to ask you about everything you're doing, especially with Loca Pacion, which is, like you said, I've heard you say it before, it's your baby.
Yes.
It's your current project that you're echando muchas ganas. How did that come about, man? I mean, well, we've heard that you're a La Mafia fan.
I'm a La Mafia freak, bro. Like,
pero no nomás, because we got to say this, especially to our audience in Mexico, porque to a lot of people in Mexico, Mafia to them is como estás tocando fuego para acá.
Exactly.
They don't realize that there was a Mafia before that was huge in Texas. Pues no nomás in Texas, todo el United States. Yeah. Which is what you focus on, that era of La Mafia. Sir. How did that come about, man?
Well, the thing is that, so throughout my career, growing up, La Mafia was definitely my all-time favorite Tejano band. Yeah. And in this world, my two favorite bands, period, is La Mafia and Motley Crue. Everybody that knows me knows that, right? So I actually had the opportunity on 3 occasions to join La Mafia. Twice when I was playing with AB and once when I was playing with Signo. And the unfortunate thing about that situation was the 2 times that I was with AB, I was on tour. We were going South Central America nonstop. In Mafia, they played maybe once, maybe twice a month. So even though it was La Mafia and it would have been my dream, it just didn't make no sense for me to go from, full blown 100% touring to not really touring,
Like their peak had already kind of passed, right, from when they were
exactly. So then, and trust me, bro, when I tell you, that was a tough decision and a tough to sit there and be like, man, I can't. I mean, dude, I beat myself up about it because, I mean, it's La Mafia. It's my dream band, like to do it. And I'm like, but I can't, I'm so used to it. And they were, they were good where they were at that time. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, man, I got to work, I got to play, So,
y luego, pues, los All-Stars at that moment, pues, andaban en su momento. Like,
dude,
you guys were all over the place.
We were everywhere, bro. Everywhere. And so, por eso, that's how come it didn't really make sense for me to make that transition, So, the third time was in 2016, and it was the same thing, but this time I was with Signo. And Signo was, andamos todo lo que da, you know what I mean? So, but Mondo was transparent about, we don't work what you're used to, So then he's like, I mean, it's up to you. And I was like, man, and so again.
But have you jammed with them before?
Oh yes. I've sat in with them, like maybe 3 or 4 times. And do trust me when I tell you this, bro. Like, talk about just like I remember the first song that I played with him ever was "Estás tocando fuego," right? And of course, when I listen to that song, I love listening to the Éxitos en Vivo version, which came out in 94 or something like that. And the way Michael Aguilar, shout out to Mike, who laid down that groove. So when I played it with them, that's how I played it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, dude, because like I tell my wife all the time, like I love watching Mafia, and I love seeing Mondo do this number. He has this groove that he does when he plays the piano, right? Yeah. So when I was playing Estás Tocando Forever, I remember playing with my eyes closed, and I hear Oscar singing, Me estás haciendo daño, and I'm playing. Then I open my eyes and I look and I see Mondo doing that, and I'm like, oh man, this is really happening. And it was super awesome, dude. It was super awesome. And
you fit right in with the groove that they were.
Oh, dude, you know what? I'll tell you one thing. One of the best compliments that I have gotten from that camp was from George Martinez. Shout out to George Martinez, who was their longtime sound engineer for many, many years. And I think George got with them like in 87, 88 or something like that up until the mid 90s. Yeah. And George told me, I'm lying. George was still running sound with them. So this was in 2009, 2008. Yeah, so George was still there. And George told me, he goes, bro, when you play the drums with them, they sound like La Mafia. Wow. And that was like the ultimate, you know what I mean? Yeah. So getting back to the whole thing, those guys, that band is my all-time favorite band.
It represents a big influence for you as far as music.
Yes, big time. So then one night, this was in December of 2023. My wife, Starla, shout out to my wife, Starla, who's on the phone.
Right here in the studio. Saludos.
So we were, this was during the Christmas holiday. So at the time, my wife was baking cookies for people, like she would put it out there, I'm baking these types of cookies, and people would place orders. So one night in particular, she was baking. She had a lot of orders. So I was helping her. So we were there, and mind you, God blessed me with an amazing wife, because she is a hardcore La Mafia fan too, and she likes the stuff I like. Well, I mean, I like all of La Mafia's stuff. Like whether it's Unión de Rosas, En Tus Manos, whatever. She kind of cuts off like right after Vida. Like anything after 94, she don't listen to. It's 94 and back. So we're in the kitchen. I'm helping her cook or I'm helping her bake and whatever we're doing. And we're listening to her playlist.
On La Mafia playlist.
La Mafia playlist. It's hers. Not mine. It was hers. So we're there and just a song came on, and I was like, dang. And then the song was done. And then another one came on. I was like, dang. And another one. It just kept just nothing but hits, bro. Hits. But the Tejano stuff. Yeah. And I said, man, they don't play these. We must listen to about 7 songs in a row. And not one of those songs do they perform live. So I just was like, it's so weird, bro, because it just hit me. And I was like, you know what? I should start a La Mafia tribute band. And she's like, wow, what do you mean? I said, babe, they don't play none of these songs. Like, I bet you there's an audience that wants to hear this music. Yeah. I bet you there has to be. So, mind you, this is like at 10 at night, right? When we're having this conversation. So I literally, it's so weird because right when I said that to her, right away, the first person that I thought of was Dusty Reyes. Shout out to Dusty, our bass player. I reached out to Dusty. Now, Dusty comes from Elida Reina. Dusty's a Latin Grammy Award winner, and Dusty is a huge La Mafia fan. Like Speedy and Adolf on bass, those were his guys. So I literally, after telling her, within 5 minutes, I picked up the phone at 10 something at night, and I called him. I said, hey, he's like, he calls me Joseph. Joseph? I said, hey, would you be down to play in a La Mafia tribute band? Like, if I put a La Mafia tribute band down? He was like, what? I'm like, yes. Like imagine, I kind of gave him the layout, like just real quick, because it just happened like within the matter of 5 minutes. And he's like, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, who would you get or what? Like that was the conversation. I said, you know what? I don't know, man, but we'll figure it out. So then I get off the phone with him, right? And I continue, we're doing what we're doing. But dude, in my entire career, I've never had anything, ever in my life, in my career that I've been playing music professionally all this time, I've never had anything just like a light bulb go off. So when I got off the phone with him, I'm thinking, okay, who can I get or what? So my mind's going. So then, yeah, it gets late. We, go to bed, wake up the next day, and I'm still thinking about it. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna try this. So the most important thing was I knew that if I was gonna take this serious, that I needed to talk to Mando. And out of
From La Mafia?
From La Mafia.
Okay.
Out of respect. And because
Like to get his blessing.
they're really good friends of mine.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that if I would have gone on my own and just did whatever I wanted to do, they were going to find out about it regardless. Yeah. And I would rather them hear it from me, you know. And the thing was, I told my wife, and she goes, reach out to him. Yeah. So I reached out to him.
Especially being friends. I
yes,
mean,
exactly.
You guys know personally.
And he told me, he said he was flattered. He said, wow, that's awesome. He goes, wow, Joe, I'm flattered. And I specifically told him, I said, look, I want to focus on the Tejano stuff, the stuff with the saxes.
Yeah.
You know, I want that to be my forte. I don't want to play any songs that have accordion. Yeah. No accordion songs. I just want to play all the old school Tejano stuff, right? So he said that he was flattered and that it was a cool concept, and then he said it's an interesting concept, and he said but he knew that I would give it the integrity and the drive that it deserved. Yeah. And he said, go for it. And I was like,
you're set.
Yeah, I'm set, right? The only thing that he had anything to object about was because we're trying to figure out what we're going to call it. Right, and I started coming up with all kinds of crazy names.
That's the hardest part,
because when you think about tribute bands, right? A lot of tribute bands, they name their band based on whether like an album title or a song or whatever, right? So I was trying to mesh stuff together. So Mafia has an album called Electrifying from 1983, and then they have Neon Static from 1985. So I was trying to put them together. I was going to call it Electrifying Static.
Is one of those the one where they're dressed in red? Like red leather.
That's Hot Stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's Hot Stuff. Yeah, that's Hot Stuff. Yeah.
That for some reason that's the album cover I remember from the 80s.
Yeah, that's Hot Stuff album.
Okay.
So I was gonna call it Electrifying Static. Right. And then I was like, well, no, maybe not that. So then I was trying to think of, man, what could I call it? And then I thought of Los Mafiosos, because that's what they call their fans, and that's what we are. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that, you know, we're hardcore La Mafia fans. So when I told him I want to call it Los Mafiosos, he said, now the name, I don't know about the name. And I was like, okay. So he's like, what about, I go, what do you suggest? He goes, well, what about like an offset of one of our hits? And right off the bat, I thought of the song Mi Loca Pacion, but I took the me off and just called it Loca Pacion, a tribute to La Mafia. And here we are. Worked. Yeah. So then I started reaching out to my guys, right? And it's crazy because when it comes to La Mafia music, like real, the authenticity of the sound, I feel not anybody can play that style. Yeah. You know, like I just I just felt like they had a very unique, just it's hard to explain that it like I tell a lot of people, like it's so simple that it's hard. Some people can't do that. You know, you have some amazing musicians that'll blaze freaking sick, all these jazz chords and all this crazy stuff, but they cannot play beep 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 with the feel, with the attitude, you know, what it deserves.
I think it's a very elegant style.
It is,
especially like their cumbias, the way they do their cumbias, like they don't go fast. Like it's just like
it's just
nice
groove. Yeah,
grooving with it.
Yeah. So I knew the first group of guys was obviously Dusty, the first one I reached out to, and then Danny Bazan. Shout out to Danny, our guitar player from Kingsville. Danny, another guy, he played with Conjunto Bernal back in the day. He's an amazing monstrosity guitar player when it comes to theory, when it comes to chords. And the thing is that his guy was Leonard from La Mafia. So, I mean, there was no other choice. Yeah. You know, and Danny, I've known Danny since I was 16 years old. So and the thing is, Danny was already my guitar player, but he didn't know it yet. Right, he was the guy already.
You had already counted him in?
Yeah, I already counted him in. So when I called him, dude, he was like, I'm down, let's go. And then the third person I reached out to was Luis Wichi, our vocalist. And Luis I've known forever, since we were 19 years old. And Luis comes from Monterrey, Nuevo León.
Okay.
And he's been in Houston for like 26 years, 25 years. And Luis used to be the vocalist of a band back in the day. I don't know if you remember a band, early 2000s called Nemesis.
Okay.
They
Rock
had a
band or?
they were a grupero band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were doing stuff out in Monterrey and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they kind of had the Mafia style almost. And Luis, his guy, is Oscar. That was his influence. So me and Luis have known each other forever, right? So fast forward from us knowing each other when we were 19, when I was playing with Signo, he started singing with a band from Houston called Inicio. They're a norteño band. So Inicio went on tour with Signo 2018. So I saw, hey, what's up, Luis? Like, I hadn't seen him in forever, you know? So one particular time we played together in Austin, Texas at the Tejano Ranch. No, I'm lying. At the Oque Corral. And I was outside and I heard, I said,
They were playing that.
They were playing Me Duele Estar Solo.
Me Duele Estar
So
Solo.
I went inside I went to the front of the house, to the board to watch them. And when I was listening to Luis, I was like, dang, like it sounds freaking awesome. Like at the time, right, at that moment, I'm like, dude, he has a very unique voice. To me, like at the time, to my ears, I'm like, he don't sound like Oscar, but he's reproduced, he's executing these songs. That sounds amazing, right? So when I decided to put this band together, my mind went back to that day, and I'm like, Luis is the guy. So I reached out to Luis, and it's funny because I messaged him on Facebook Messenger. And when he saw my message, because he tells me, you know, and he tells people too, that when he saw my message, he was like, what the heck? I wonder what Joey wants, right? So I told him, hey, give me a call when you get a chance. You know, and this is in December of 23. So right before the year had ended, and I told him, give me a call, man. He calls me, and he started telling me, like, he was already kind of like not wanting to sing. You know, he was kind of over the whole scene and whatever and whatnot. He said, unless something, and mind you, he doesn't even know why I'm calling him, but we're just kind of catching up, and he's just kind of telling me what's been going on with him or whatever. And he goes, unless something just comes that I can't say no to, but, you know, I'm just like, I go, well, this is what's going on. I'm starting a La Mafia tribute band, and I'm like, and I want to play the old 80s and 90s Tejano stuff that they don't play. And I started kind of like saying songs. He's like, dude, stop right there. I'm in.
Just like that.
Just like that. Just like that. He asked me, he goes, who do you have so far? I goes, me and Dusty. He goes, I'm in. Me, Dusty, and Danny. He's like, he knew that with the rhythm section that we had, that he was done. He's like, I'm there. So before we had any keyboard players, I thought about a good buddy of mine from Gonzales, Texas. My friend Eno. Shout out to Eno. Eno grew up playing this style of music, Mafia, Excelencia. It's all the same onda. So I reached out to Eno, and I gave him the layout. This is what I want to do, and he was like, dude, I'm down. Let's go. I was like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay, I need another keyboard player, right? So I was trying to I reached out to a buddy of mine who unfortunately couldn't do it because he was like, something with his dad. You know, his dad was ill. So I was telling Dusty, and Dusty goes, well, what about Michael Molini? And I was like, I thought Michael Molini's not playing anymore. And the crazy thing about Michael Molini is that his father-in-law is Leonard Gonzalez from La Mafia. So talk about a weird connection. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So we were trying to get a hold of Mike, and I kept missing his call. Dusty kept missing his call. But Dusty ended up finally talking to him and kind of giving him the rundown, you know, letting him know what we're trying to do and see if he would even be interested. And he told Dusty that he was down. I hadn't talked to him yet, right? So about a week after their conversation, Dusty talks to him again. And then Dusty calls me back and is like, dude, I just got off the phone with Molini, bro. And he was playing No Lo Haré in the background. And he goes, dude, it sounded just like the album. Because Dusty was telling me, like, Michael, he will tweak the sounds to make it sound exactly like the record. He's that guy. So when he had called me to tell me that I guess Molini was like, hey, check it out, and played it for him, Dusty called me right away and said, dude, this dude's already practicing. So then I spoke to Michael, and Michael was like, dude, I'm there. Let's go. So we put this band together, and the first rehearsal that we had, right, believe it or not, there was no keyboard players. It was just me, Danny, Dusty, and Luis. We got in a room just to kind of feel it out, you know. And bro, my wife could validate for me. We started like around 1 in the afternoon rehearsing till about 8 at night. Nothing but nonstop different La Mafia songs. Wow. So and we were just going in and out and playing them, and I would play the medley on the mic because we didn't have no keyboards. And I was like, okay, this is gonna work. And then about shortly after that, so this was in January of 24, we had a full band rehearsal. And dude, I was very transparent in the sense that, okay, let's just get in the room as a full band. Let's learn some songs. Let's see what happens, you know. And if it doesn't sound good, I mean, I don't think any of us would let it leave the room, because this is, and aparte, La Mafia is all of our favorite band. Yeah. So I lucked out with these guys. Like, these were the guys, you know.
The guys you had there actually want to be there.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Yeah. So when we did our first rehearsal together, and I remember the very first song we played was Regresa a mí. Regresa a mí, right? And I remember my wife was sitting at the door over there. And it's crazy because, believe it or not, the night before we had the 4-piece rehearsal and it was just us 4, I went to that rehearsal room to set up my drums, and I told my wife, I said, can you believe what I'm doing right now? Like, I'm setting up my drum set for a little jam session with the guys of a thing that I spoke of in our kitchen. That's happening, you know? So even that day that we had rehearsal at the studio, when we kicked into Regresa a mí, I looked at my wife and I was like, holy shit. Like, I was freaking out, like how it sounded, bro. And it's so weird, man, because I feel like ever since my father unfortunately passed away, I felt like I become this overly emotional dude. Like, if I hear certain impacts in songs or whatever, I get emotional. And I was holding back tears so bad of just of happiness. Like, I couldn't believe that this was us. Yeah. This was something that I put together from the ground up, you know.
You conceived it like that.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're paying homage to in my opinion, the greatest and biggest Tejano band to ever walk the earth. Yeah. So my main thing, and I know I speak for everybody, that our main goal was to achieve the authenticity of that sound. And to hear it back, I was like, whoa, like, dude, it was like just the rehearsals, bro. So then we spent most of 2024. Now, here's the thing. I didn't want to say nothing to nobody, right? I said, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm going to keep it on the down low. And then one day, boom, Joey has a band. And this is what we are. This is who's in it and whatever. But I got so freaking like ansias, right? Yeah. So then I ended up putting on Facebook. I said, I just want to let everybody know I started a kick-ass band, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. I
remember that post.
And people were like, what? What is it? Like, everybody thought it was a rock band or country band. Like, nobody knew, right? And then as the time went on, I would say, well, it's a Tejano band. Yeah. And they were like, what? Like, what is it? Or what? I said, look, and I would, and by the grace of God that I've had an amazing following of fans, young fans, especially like when I get on TikTok and stuff and I do like lives and a lot of people tune in, and I would tell the younger folks, like, you know, give it a chance. Like, I think you'll like it. You know, I really, really do. I said, this music, to me, when it makes you bob your head, that's you know it's good. You know, yeah. I promise you, when you hear this, you're going to bob your head. Yeah. So people are like, well, can't wait. So I knew that it would be, I'd like to think that when we recorded the live songs, we did 5, that they sounded good. And I couldn't wait to share them with everybody, right? But when we did, and everybody got to see what it was and hear what we were and everything, like, dude, like, it went a gazillion times way past my expectations. And by the grace of God, it's been like that ever since. And it's been a huge blessing, not only to my family and I, but to this band. And then the fact that it's like we always say, you know, we have the best fans in the world because we're all fans of La Mafia. You know what I'm saying? So, and then to have their support and to be acknowledged, like, you know, like Mafia is very kind of like La Mafia, very private when it comes to certain things. and people that are like their manager reaches out to me. Is like, dude, they're just like one of the things he told me was like they're just really happy that the level of musicianship that we are as skill level, that we are paying homage to them. Yeah. You know, so it's been super awesome. But it all started in our kitchen.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
That,
I appreciate that.
I do want to ask you. I want to backtrack a little bit when you were mentioning about your drum kit. How you went back to the traditional setup as far as giving homage to the style of La Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
But how did your style change as far as the way you played? How did you modify in order for it to sound good for La Mafia style?
The thing for me that I've always done as a musician growing up is that I never once. How do you say it? Like growing up, I didn't even want to be at Tejano. Like I didn't want to play Tejano music. I wanted to be Motley Crue. I wanted to be a rocker. You know, that was my dream, to be in a rock band, to play rock music and, play concerts and all that stuff. Like that's what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, where I was located there in Seguin, in my hometown, that's when Tejano was popping, So as a young kid, that was what was
available.
That was available, exactly. And so I got to, I've been very, very blessed in my career to have, because of Tejano music and Norteño music, I've been able to achieve a lot of great things, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But I've always been just a musician that dabbles into everything, because I never wanted to be in a box I wanted to be the type of drummer that can play everything, and I did that. I put not so much that I put that pressure on myself, but because of how passionate I am about the drums, I loved listening to everything. So if anything were to have been thrown my way, I was ready. So like it's like an example, like when I played with Signo has a lot of remates, a lot of licks or certain, things that we did together or whatever. Yeah. But when I play La Mafia, it's no más lo que es. Yeah. It's you gotta stick to the script, and I've had a lot of people, believe it or not, I went back in 2021, I did a tour with Coetzel. Coetzel's a huge country artist, Texas country artist, kicking butt out there. Shout out to Co and all the camp. I had people reaching out to me while I was out there on the roads, telling me like, "Hey man, you need to go off on these songs." I'm like, "Why? That's not what's called for." Yeah. I'm doing the job, what the job calls for. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I feel that has helped me be able to do. Like if you stop and think about it, I played with Excelencia when I was 13 years old, which Excelencia is pretty much a spin-off of La Mafia, because 4 of their members teamed up with David Dianda and started Excelencia in 1989. Right. So that's pretty much that style. Then you go play with AB, it's cumbias all night, fast and slow and all in between. Yeah. Then you go play with Signo, which is norteño. You're playing rancheras, but you're not playing them like this. You're playing them like this with the hi-hat, doing this. Yeah. You're playing slower cumbias. You're playing balseadas, boleros, guapangos, and then you go and play with Vanilla Ice. You're playing hip-hop. You know what I'm saying?
How did that happen, Vanilla Ice?
With the Vanilla Ice thing,
that's crazy,
It's interesting because when I was playing with AB, right, Chris Perez, he was really good, or he still is really good friends with a guy named John Gomez. At the time, John Gomez was working for Vanilla Ice's management. They had a management company. And it just so happened that they were on a phone call, and John was stressing to Chris that Vanilla Ice needed a drummer that weekend, because the drummer that he had was opening up a venue in Dallas. His drummer was from Dallas. Yeah. He was opening up a music venue, and he got caught up and was busy and didn't realize they had a gig or whatever. And Chris just threw it out there and said, "Why don't you call Joey, our drummer?" Yeah. It's like, "What? Y'all ain't working this weekend?" It's like, "No, give him a call. Here's his number."
Hey, Joey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Vanilla Ice tours with the band live?
Well, no, it's just him, a DJ, and a drummer. Oh, okay. Like he's always wanted a live drummer.
Okay.
Yeah. So they call me. I get this random call, but I didn't get a call from John. I got the call from Tommy Kwan, which was Vanilla Ice's manager. And I was like, when I heard his name, I mean, I knew who he was, bro. You know, so I heard his name, and he's like, hey, man, so your name came highly recommended. This is what's going on. We have a show this Saturday in, I believe it was in West Palm Beach, Florida. Are you available? And I knew I was available, but I got so intimidated at the moment that I was like, you know what? Let me check my schedule. Let me double check. Because I got very I felt like it was like this thing that scared me. Yeah. Like
you didn't just want to jump into it
exactly.
without thinking about it.
Exactly. So he was like, all right. I said, give me a little bit. Let me check my schedule, and then I'll get back to you and let you know what's going on. Yeah. So I got the phone with him. Not even a minute later, my phone rang, and it was my older brother, Joshua. And my older brother was like, what are you doing? I said, dude, you're never going to guess who I got the phone with right now. He's like, who? I said, Vanilla Ice's manager. Vanilla Ice? Like Vanilla Ice? Like Ice Baby? I was like, yes, that dude. He was like, what? Like they called you to go play with him? I was like, yes. You're going to go jam with him? I was like, I don't know. What do you, and he's like, what do you mean you don't know? I go, well, Josh, I mean, it's Vanilla Ice. Like, I mean, dude, it's like big time. And it's so weird, dude, because he told me straight up, he's like, but Joey, like, this is what you do. You could play. Like, why would you? What do you have to lose? And for some reason, he just started making sense, right? Yeah. So I literally, I okay, I gotta go. I gotta call this guy back. So I got off the phone with him, and I called Tommy back, and said, yeah, I'm good to go. So we said, do you have a drum writer? Like, do you have a specific setup or whatever? So I emailed him a drum writer, and then he sends me an email with all their material. And he's kind of giving me, when he sends me the songs, he gives me a written letter, like saying, okay, it's when it comes to this part of the show, this is what goes on or whatever. And he said, Ice likes to improvise a lot. Mm-hmm. So if he improvises on something, just go with the flow and just back him up. So I was like, all right. So when I started, after he had sent me the songs, and he told me that the show is like a 40-minute show. So when I got the songs and I started listening to them, dude, I was like, this is easy. Because it was the way I heard it to my ears. I'm like, this is hip hop. This is just R&B. It's just pocket. There's no craziness.
Basic rhythm.
Yeah, basic rhythm. So you're playing on top of the drum loop, So I started rehearsing it, and that was easy. And then I flew, and it was the first time in my life that I flew somewhere to meet complete strangers that I was by myself. I didn't know these guys. I'm flying to go play with Vanilla Ice, and I get there, and
so no rehearsals?
No rehearsals, no nothing. No, heck no. So I go, and I think what made everything, like what how do you say it, like broke the ice, so to speak, when his road manager picks me up at the airport. And we get in there, and he introduces me. And the road manager was the DJ, but he wasn't like a scratching DJ. He just really just pushed play and stop. Yeah. But he was up there with us, And we were just kind of getting to know each other and whatever. And then we go to this place, and we stop, and we park in front of this building. And he's on the phone, and I'm looking this way, and I look at the top of the building, and I think to myself, I'm like, man, that says Dr. Feelgood's exactly the way Motley Crue,
like the album,
like the font, everything. I said Dr. Feelgood's. I was
it's that green restroom.
No. It was the red writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
with the skulls by the at the end. Yeah, the way it's written on the album.
Yeah,
it said Dr. Feelgood's, and I was like, and then when he got off the phone, I said, hey, this place is Dr. Feelgood's, like Motley Crue, and he goes, oh, you don't know? I'm like, no, what? He goes, this is Vince Neil's bar, which is the singer from Motley Crue. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm a huge Motley Crue. I showed him my arm because I have the Motley Crue tattoos. He's like, oh, let's get off. So we went in there, dude, and it was like a Motley Crue museum of just all kinds of memorabilia, all kinds of stuff, dude. And I was just like, talk about like I was in heaven. They had gold records and motorcycles and pictures. And so that put me like in my comfort zone, because I was like crazy nervous. And then Vanilla Ice walks in, and the one thing that I noticed about him right away, and throughout, because I played a lot of shows with him, and he was very down to earth, very hands on. Like he knew. Like, I'll put it this way, probably the size of this room right here was the stage, right? No. And he wanted 2 risers, one for the drums and one for the DJ. So when they were putting the risers earlier in the day, because I got there early with Chuck, the DJ, or the road manager, and I'm like, man, the stage is when they put the risers, it was tight. So then Chuck made the decision by saying, no, let's just take them off. There's no room. When Rob, his name's Rob, Vanilla Ice's name is
Robert Van Winkle.
Rob Van Winkle, yeah. When he showed up, he goes, where are the risers? And they're like, he goes, no, put them back. So he was there helping them put them on, and they have all this decor for the stage. Like it was really, really cool. But I was like, oh wow, like I didn't know, like he was just this over the top persona, like, but very, very humble dude. So, and I was like, oh, like I was real, like just to myself, setting up the drums and whatever. And then he came and introduced himself. And what was crazy is that his people, because they were trying to, okay, well, who's this guy? And Joey, oh, he plays with Cumbia Kings. Oh, that's Selena's brother, AB. You remember Selena, the movie? So that's how they knew who I was. So his friends, right away, they wanted to take pictures with me. And Robert was like, you're like, there was like 6 of them. They were like, they wanted to take pictures with me. And he was like, y'all want to take pictures with this guy? You don't even know if he's good or not. Like, but he played with Selena when he was young and this and that. So we're doing the thing. And then he goes, all right, we started checking the stuff. Well, he checks his own sound. He mixes his own sound. So he's out there, check, doing his own. Yeah. Joey played the kick drum and snare and played the loop and everything. So he goes, let's run over. We ran over like 2 tracks, 2 songs. When I started playing, he immediately looked at me like he gave me this look, and I didn't know, like, am I doing something wrong or whatever? So after the second song, he tells me, he goes, man, you have a mean R&B groove. Nobody's ever told me that in my life. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. So then we're already going to get done. And Chuck, the DJ, goes, well, what about a drum solo to Rob? And Rob's like, he tells me, he goes, what about a drum solo? I go, what about a drum solo? He goes, can you do a drum solo? I was like, yeah, I can do a drum solo. You want a drum solo? He's like, yeah. He goes, okay, cool. He goes, no. Let me see what you got right now. I was like, right now? This is a sound check. So then I just busted out on whatever, and then he just kind of looked at me and was like, we're going to be fine. Yeah. So then I come to do the show, right? And this is crazy, bro, because we're in West Palm Beach, and we get to this place, and there's all these people in this dressing room, like all these people. And I'm just in the corner holding my stick bag, just waiting, when it's showtime, So then, like, maybe about 30 minutes before the show, about 45 minutes before the show, Chuck comes in and kicks everybody out of the dressing room. And so I'm starting to walk. He goes, no, Joe, you stay here. So once everybody got out, Vanilla Ice was like, hey, Joey, grab a chair. I was like, oh. He goes, hey, man, so Chuck says you're from Seguin. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I have family in San Antonio. I was like, oh, really? Yeah, man, we always go, to Six Flags. And we just started chopping it up, dude.
He's from Dallas,
He's from Dallas, yeah. So he started chopping it up, and I'm just like talking to him, and I'm like, a la madre. This is Vanilla. Dude, the sweetest dude.
People forget that. I mean, Ice Ice Baby was, in its moment, it was
so he told me
number one.
Check it out. So he said when Ice Ice Baby came out, he was 16. Became a multimillionaire at 16, and he invested his money. At the time when I was already at this time I was already playing with AB when I did these gigs with him. So he had an exotic rental car plates in Miami that rented Lamborghinis, Maseratis, Vipers, all that. People to drive up South Beach or whatever. He had a place like that. He was into NASCAR. I mean, not NASCAR, motocross. He had this dude. Like he said, he goes, I invested my money. Like this dude was smart. Yeah. So we just became like, he was a really nice, down to earth dude. Yeah. And so then it was time to do the show, right? And it was so crazy because that show was so wild. Excuse me. By the time I knew it, it was over. It was 40 minutes fast, and it was packed in that place. Yeah. And it was just, it was just like a crazy party. Yeah. We got done, and Chuck was like, let me take you back to the hotel. I was like, all right. So as on our way back to the hotel, he goes, hey, man, I don't know what you said to Rob, but he told me to give you his number. And I was like, really? So I still have his number on my phone. Wow. Yeah, man. So that became a relationship to where, because I was initially just filling in for the guy that couldn't make it, you know? So because the guy was opening that venue, he started missing more days. So they would call me and I would go on the road with Vanilla Ice. But what was crazy and what led me back to the first show is when they played in San Antonio one day, and Chuck says, "Are you around?" I said, "Yeah, man." He goes, "You come to the show." So me and some of my friends went, you know, and they were like, "Oh, we get to meet Vanilla Ice, right?" And they were freaking out first of all, how tall he was, and like a big dude.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Dude, he's so down to earth, Joe, man. He showed you a lot of love." Like when he saw me, he was like, "Joe, hey, what's up, bro?" Gave me a hug and everything. But when I saw them perform with that other drummer, the other drummer played those songs like a rock drummer. Like the same exact songs that I played with him. But when I heard the drum loops, I'm like, this is pocket. This is R&B, like hip hop. So when I saw them, he played it with more of a rock approach. I was like, that's probably why he said what he said to me about me having that groove, because I didn't play it like that. I played it like, you know, just pocket. And this dude was like, you know, it's real, like, just like kind of punk rockish.
Yeah. Rattling the hi-hats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but no, man, it became a very long lasting relationship. And up until a few months ago, I'll call or I'll text Chuck, and just to, you know, or he'll text me, "Hey, Joey, how's it been? You know, we thought about you," or, you know, and it's been like that. And I met those guys in 2007. Yeah. And the last gig I did with him was in 2015.
Right.
But
I think Vanilla Ice had a punk rock era, no?
He did.
After he had his hits.
He
went rock.
did. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's funny because he wanted to get away from that image that they made him, you know? And I get that, you know what I'm saying? But then he started to embrace what it was and his success.
People get nostalgic, man.
Yeah.
Especially now with all the... You got it here in the United States and in Mexico too, with the '90s tours and everything. They're very big, man.
I did a gig with him in Vegas. We did a Friday and a Saturday, and it was at the Hilton, the one that Elvis was famous for. Right. We played Friday and Saturday. It was called Eric Floyd's Old School Party, and dude, I'm talking Kumo D, freaking CNC Music Factory, Montel Jordan, Cisco.
Tone Loc?
Like, was Tone Loc there? No, Tone Loc wasn't there. What's his name? KRS-One. Like all these old school hip hop artists. And Vanilla Ice was the only one that had a musician. All those guys had DJs and dancers, but Vanilla Ice had a DJ, and I was the only drummer. And Vanilla Ice headlined these shows. And so when I was there, like, what? Like, dude, I was like freaking out, bro, because I was like, what the heck? Like this, it was such a trip to be in that world. And then, you know, to get the love and support from the peers that were there that were noted, because I was the only musician there. You know, when I played with Vanilla, I mean, everybody was on the side of the stage watching us. And they were like, man, I remember the second day, earlier in the day, I was walking to sound check through the casino, and I don't know if you know the actress Vivica Fox. She came out on Set It Off. Let's see, what else has Vivica Fox done? Soul Food. She's done she's done a lot of movies. Well, I saw she was hosting the event. And I saw her at the bar at the hotel when I was walking to sound, and I stopped, and I was like, I wanted to ask her for a picture, right? But I had a Chavez flip phone at the time. And I was like, no, I don't want to bother her, right? So I went to sound check, whatever, boom, boom. So the second night that we played, we get done. And I put my sticks in the stick bag. And I take my stick bag off the floor top. But this big old dude, this security guy comes, "Hey, man, my boss wants to meet you." I was like, dude, that freaked me out, bro. I was like, okay, like, what are you going to say? No? Right? So I was like,
that sounds like a mafia boss
dude,
or something.
I was like, okay. So when he took me to Vivica Fox. And she was like, "Yo, man," she had that ghetto swag. "Yo, where you come from?" I said, "Oh, I was tripping out. I'm like, my name's Joey." She go, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from Texas, from small town, Seguin, Texas, east of San Antonio. Oh my God, so man, I like the way you flipped them drumsticks and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, thank you. She goes, no, honey, you killed that shit. You killed. I was like, wow, like this is Vivica Fox telling me that, right? I said, look, I saw you earlier at the bar, and I wanted to ask you for a picture, but I have a cheap phone. I didn't want to bother you. She goes, well, pull out that cheap ass phone right now. Let's get a pic. So when I pulled my phone out, it just so happened that Vanilla Ice's people were there. So the guy, one of the photographers, he got a picture of us. Ooh. So yeah, she was that was super, super awesome. One of the cool memories I have of touring with that dude.
It's always incredible to, you have these artists that you look up to, and you put them up there, man. And then to get to meet them and to realize that they're just, people like us, man.
Oh,
being down to earth. I mean, it's humbling. I mean,
very much so.
When he was on the Arsenio Hall, have you seen that one?
Yes, Arsenio Hall was putting him in a weird, He was poking.
Yeah, porque Arsenio was very big on the, pues ya ves, the I feel like a lot of hip hop artists or African American people just in general that are in music or movies, they've always felt like they took the music from themselves.
Yeah.
Since Elvis, that's always been the thing. And to a certain point, I mean, it is right, but I feel that was uncalled for, man. Porque I mean, Vanilla Ice was just there, just to promote his music. He wasn't trying to, bash him or anything.
But a lot of times it's unfortunate, dude, because people of that stature, of as far as like when it comes to hosts. Yeah. And stuff like that, where they have a TV show or whatever. A lot of times people like to rattle the cage, man. Yeah. I've been there. I've been in it, and I'm just like, wow, like it starts off like this, and then it turns into, they only show this piece and try to cause or have what do they call it these days? Clickbait. Yeah. So.
The drama, como dicen, pues
it happens.
They're trying to get those clicks and start some drama, pero pues como te dije en el message, man, we, I'd rather grow slow, my audience, and have them be loyal and follow me because they like the content, and not be somebody who gets thousands of followers just because they're like, let's check this guy out to see what he's gonna. Nah, it's not about that, man. And then you're gonna get that rep, man, and nobody's gonna want to come, man. No, este güey no, que nomás va a cagar palo. So I mean, we try to stay away from that.
And I've actually, believe it or not, I've distanced myself from people that have been like that. Yeah, because I mean, I've never had, how do you say it, like bad intentions or. Towards anybody, you know?
Absolutely.
But sometimes you got to kind of, how do you say it? Like a lot of people can't handle the truth, and you got to kind of watch what you say. Yeah. Because, you don't, Gene Simmons would always say this quote that the secret to success is to offend the greatest amount of people.
With your success? Yeah. Eso sí es cierto. Fíjate, Joey, I think we can talk about it now because not too long ago I saw you guys, talking, and it was all cool. But I remember here in the Valley, there was not too long ago, andaba mucho talk that you and Turner had like beef. Okay, you weren't talking la fregada.
Well, it was the thing is I think it was, to be honest with you, I mean it's kind of immature after the fact, Yeah. But it's because when I left the band, I talked to it's a whole messed up situation because at the time, so at that moment in time, we had a person that was in command. That was the owner. That was the guy. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't Turner. Yeah. It was this guy that was our manager. I don't even want to say his name to give him the satisfaction, but claro. I went to him and basically, and it was crazy because what ended up happening after the fact is I was there saying, you're screwing us. Yeah. And he tried to say, no, I wasn't. And guess what? 2 years or a year later, they found out and they fired him because he was stealing money. But I knew already that was happening.
And you were calling him out?
Yeah. And he didn't like it. So I said, you know what? F you. I'd rather be broke than get screwed.
So that's the reason you left Signo?
Yeah, because the thing is that we found out we were making a lot of money. Yeah. The company was making a lot of money. Oh, absolutely. But the band wasn't, And I'm like, that's not right. You know what I mean? And trust me, bro, when I left that band, so many people thought that we were living this lavish rock star. I'll never forget. We were watching the CMA Country Fest. My daughter and I, and my wife was cooking. And my daughter says, "Oh my God, look at all those people. I bet you that guy's rich." And it just so happened where our TV was, right next to the TV, my wife had this cross made with my buckle from the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo when I played there with Signo. Yeah. I said, "Monkey, I've played in way more. I've played in front of way more people than that." Yeah. I go, "Look at where we live." And she just like she saw all these people and thought this artist must be this dude, just like everybody else. Everybody else thought that we were, living this glamorous rock star life or whatever. Everybody did, because we show up at a venue and 2 tour buses, sometimes 3 tour buses. We have this huge production. We're like this. I mean, Signo was, it was a thing at the time, and so everybody thought all these things, right? Well, when we found out that we were getting screwed. I didn't. That's not right. Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's not right. You don't screw your people, So when I called out the power that be and he lied, I'm like, no, I'm done. Yeah. You're not going to screw me. Like I said, I'd rather be broke than get screwed. And I told him, F you, I quit. I'm out of here. So I quit on a Sunday, January the 6th, 2019. I didn't make anything public until Monday, right? So that's a whole day. Mm-hmm. But that Sunday, after I told this person that I was leaving, was he went and called Turner. The same, like you're talking within what? As soon as we got off the phone, he called Turner. Joey just quit. So instead of Turner calling me and telling me like, hey, this and that, he calls my best friend and is telling my best friend that I quit. And when my best friend calls me, he's like, what the heck, what's going on? I'm like, Turner called you? He said, pues yeah, I just got off the phone with him. I said, well, why didn't he call me? So nobody called me. Nobody in the band, not one person in the band called me to find out when I quit, And so I was like, all right, whatever, that's cool. It is what it is, right? So I was cool. I mean, of course, I left the band, but I wasn't saying nothing, right? It wasn't until they made it seem like I didn't tell them that I was quitting, and they found out on Facebook. So then that made me look shady. Yeah. Like I didn't tell. Like for example, me and you were in a band, and I don't tell you. I go to the social media and I tell everybody else for whatever sympathy or attention, but you're the first person that I told. You know what I'm saying? They made it seem like I didn't. So that's how come I was like, oh hell no. And then that's when things kind of got weird. And I mean, of course, just like with anything that happens, it kind of got messy a little bit. But Gipper's funeral, believe it or not, it's strange how something like that could mend things for people. Yeah. And believe it or not, my wife told me we were outside at the cemetery, and she went to the car to get some water because it was hot. It was a hot day. And she came and she goes, I just saw Turner. And I was like, oh yeah. She goes, yeah, he said hi. Like he said like hi. She said, oh cool, but whatever, right? On our way home, she said, can I tell you something? I said, yeah. And she goes, you need to let that go. I'm like, why? And then I was just too busy like pointing the fingers at him, like saying like, well, why didn't he call me? Why didn't, they didn't try to, all this pointless stuff, right? Yeah. And then she's like, doesn't matter. You have so many blessings, so many positive things are happening in your life right now. Don't block that with that grudge,
It's energy. It's negative energy.
Yeah, and she's like, she said, what did she say? Something like, what the next time you want to see him at somebody else's funeral? Like, no. It's crazy, right? How your significant other's right, and you don't even want to admit it, right? Yeah. But she was right. But so I believe it or not, I reached out to a mutual friend of ours just to see if Turner still had the same number. Mm-hmm. And when I reached out to my friend, shout out to my boy Rick Diaz. I go, hey, you have Turner's number? He goes, why, are you going to talk shit to him or what? I said, no, fool, no. And then it just so happened he had the same number. I still had it. So I reached out to him. And I just told him, like, hey, man, like, this is dumb, like, I don't want to be going through this with you, or not so much I don't want to be going through this with you, but like yeah, lo que pasó, like you know. And then he sent me a long message, basically telling me this, like he's like, I've been waiting for this day for a long time, you know. And that was it.
Yeah.
And it felt good because, you know, Turner and I are totally different people. Talk about salt and pepper. Like, we're different. But we did amazing things together. Yeah. And that's crazy, right? Because you're talking about two different people that live two different separate lives, you know, that see life in two totally different ways. But we connected when it came to music. You know, we made some of the best music out there, you know. Yeah. And we changed the game. You know, we went and put chingos of smiles on people's faces and brought people together as a team. You know, we did that. And so I was happy that, you know, and of course it was a transition to get, because I mean, you think about it, like, you know, I was in that band for 8 years of my life. You know, I was with them 70% of my time, you know. So to get to the transition of, you know, kind of speaking to each other through text and then maybe a phone call, and then it just, you know, kind of went, and it got to the point to where it was like, things are great now. Yeah. You know, and I'm very proud. Trust me when I tell you this. I'm 100% proud of my past with that band because of everything we did together and all the memories we made and all the things that we accomplished together, you know. But just like everything, you know, I like to think, I mean, I could be wrong. Of course, it's my opinion, but I like to think that I was part of the best era of Signo. Yeah. And
would you say that, or would you consider a possibility of making like a reunion in the future, or maybe not a tour, but maybe like sitting in with them? Like,
I played with them.
Did you? Really?
Yeah, I played with them last year in Crystal City. Well, believe it or not, last year. Okay, last year was okay. Let me think. I think it was 23. Right. He calls me out of the blue. We were at my nephew's baseball game in Corpus, and when I was watching the game, and he calls me, and Turner's calling me. Hello, what's up, dude? What are you doing? I'm here chilling. What are you doing later? I'm like, I don't know. Why? What's up? You want to jam? I'm like, what jam? What do you mean? So apparently he had a last minute private that he was doing in Kingsville, which Kingsville's right next to Alice. Yeah. And asked me if I would go and jam. It was going to be him and Ruben Robles, the bass player. Yeah. And then I think I forgot who was bringing. Oh, Marcos Posada, Marcos was the uncle of Jacob, his son, right? Okay. To play bajo. And I was like, let me find a drum kit. I don't have a drum kit. I said, my drums are with Macizo. I was playing with Macizo at the time. Find a drum set, man, let's jam. I was like, all right. So then I called my friend, ¿cómo se llama? Javier, there you go. Javier Acuña there in Alice. And I was like, hey, dude, you know, this is what's going. What? You're gonna what? I said, yeah, dude. There's my drums. I'll take them over there, right? So I went. I showed up. Like I literally showed up, and it was for a wedding. And we went and set up in this little hall. The wedding was going on outside, and we were inside the hall. And this is like at 7. Yeah. We're setting up real quick. Boom, boom, boom. I'm setting up the drums, and we just started playing, bro. Now everybody knew that, you know, we were there, and even I remember one of the guys was like, "Dude, you got Joey and Turner together, like they're here, like." And I remember we took and I didn't say nothing. I didn't put nothing out there, and I think a fan that was there went live and recorded us playing. We were playing, you know, Importa or something like that, and that thing went wild. Everybody, Joey's going back to Signo. Yeah. Are you coming back? And it was fun. Yeah. That was the best part about it. Is we played, we got done, we ate dinner at the table together, talking, laughing, and then we went our ways, you know. Yeah. And it's crazy because, I mean, of course, you know, I helped build what Signo is today. You know, that I helped put my freaking
the whole rockteño style, man.
And so I'm proud of that. You know, I embraced that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because from what I remember in their first albums, Signo era norteño hats, boots, and even the music, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was always progressive since the beginning. But when you came on the scene. Like you took it to a whole different level musically, man. It was like all of a sudden we were all interested in, hey, what's Signo gonna come up with next?
Yeah.
Man?
Well, I remember recording the very first. See, I recorded the album Lo Que Me Dejaste before I played live with them as their drummer. Like I helped them out their last two shows of 2010 in December. It was the 23rd and Christmas Day, and then they were off all of January of 2011. So we were in when they offered me the job, and I took the job, which was my second gig with them that Christmas night of 2010. We spent January in the studio recording. So we were recording this whole time. So I remember the very first song that I recorded was a song called Cansado de Todo on the Lo Que Me Dejaste. That's the first song that I played the drums on. And then when I went, and it was me, Richard, it was Turner, Ram, Selena at the time was our manager and was recording us, and Jacob was doing the guías with us in the studio. Yeah. That's the first time I met him. Yeah. And so
you had a lot to do with him coming on board too, right?
Oh yeah. I'll tell you about that. But I go in after I recorded Cansado de Todo, right? Yeah. And Ram goes, come listen to it. So when I went to the control room, Ram pushes play. As soon as the song started, he just turned around and he looked at all three of us. He turned the volume down. He goes, this is a new band. He goes, this is a new band. He goes, it sounds like Turner quit Signo and joined a new band. He goes, this is a whole new band now. And then he turned it back up, and it just sounded different. Like it just had a different on to it, you know? And the only new ingredient was me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that became like when I was like, wow, okay, so it's a trip. Because if you listen to the Quiarias album, which is the record right before I joined, it's the same guys on that record. The only difference was me on the next one. And it was a whole new sound. And it's crazy because through conversation, the guys used to tell me, like, you know, we would play these festivals and people didn't take us serious or whatever. And now people were starting to respect us. And it got to the point, bro, that Signo, we were getting to the point to where certain big bands didn't even want to be on the bill with us.
They didn't want you as openers.
No, they did not. Oh, wow. They did not, you know? And I mean, the thing is that we were just young dudes up there, todo lo que da, trying to just give everybody the best show that we could, you know? And at the time, it's weird because we were traveling with a production. Bands weren't doing that at the time, you know? We were showing up there with a light show, and sometimes we would have pyro, or like we were pushing the envelope. At that time, when we were doing those things, nobody was really doing that except for Intocable. Yeah. And that's because Intocable didn't even want us. Like I remember one time we played together this is a true story. We played together in Midwest, and we did Chicago one night, and then we did Waukegan the next night. So the first night we played in Chicago at the Aragon Bar Room, right? And it was hasta la madre, bro. You're talking like 5,000, 6,000, whatever you could fit in that big old venue.
That place is legendary.
Yes,
man. It's got a lot of history.
On the bill was the Reileros, Conjunto Primavera, Signo, Ramon Ayala, Intocable. That was the bill. Wow. Right? So we went on at 10 o'clock. I think I have a video on my phone. Right before we went on stage, I was like filming us, and you could hear when the guy says, "Are you ready for Signo?" We're like, "Dang!" Right? They were showing love. So apparently, the legend is that, I mean, when we went on at 10 was prime time, so it was capacity in that place. We went in there, we rocked the house for about 45 minutes or an hour. Got done, and back then I think they still do. You do the dobletes. Yeah. So after we were done there, we went to another place to play, right? So apparently, by the time Intocable got on stage, they went on like at 1:30. We went on at 10. They went on like at 1:30 or something like that. There wasn't that many people in there by the time they got on stage. You know what I mean? So the next day, we're playing together in Waukegan, and it's us, Ramon, and Intocable. So when we get there, that's exactly how the lineup was. It's supposed to be us, Ramon, and Intocable. They made it Ramon, Intocable, and put us last. So, and I mean, this is how I took it. I took it like, you want us to go last. So by the time we get on stage, everybody's gone because Intocable is the main. Yeah. Those people didn't leave till I put my sticks in the stick bag.
Wow.
They were due when it was time for us to go on. They were ready for Signo.
They stuck around.
They do. It was wow. And our music was so intense and hype, and it was a show.
This was around what album?
You're talking 2017, 2016. This was no, Jacob was Jacob there?
Yo te, what's that?
Right
song?
before Yo te esperaré. So
Yo te
you're
esperaré.
talking. Man, this was. No, I had the acrylic drum kit 2017. So right after Yo te esperaré. Yeah, right around there. Because I had my acrylic drum kit. Yeah, that was 2017.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
dude.
Wait, I want to ask you about. I want to fast forward a little bit to the. I believe it's the last album you did with them. Donde viene la de Que me amas.
Yes, sir.
And what's that other cumbia called?
Solo Amame.
What's that?
Solo Amame.
Solo Amame.
Yeah.
The sound on that production is, especially the drums on Carnal. I mean, all your productions before that, they sounded great, mis respetos, but I especially love the sound on that one, man.
On that song?
On that whole, all that album, man. So even maciza la
Well,
batería.
here's the thing.
Was that Freddie? That was Freddie Records?
No. That was actually, I want to say we did that one on our own. It was J Turn Records with Jesse Turner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but on the two songs, Que me amas and Solo Amame, those songs were mixed and mastered by Chuy, who did Intocable.
Okay.
And I mean, he made the mix sound enormous. And then it was Richard Rosales. Shout out to Richard, the bajo player. Yeah. Richard went in and pretty much matched. I mean, it's a great record, Monstruos. It's a great, for me, it's like a great last record. I mean, I still listen to it to this day.
You went out with a bang, brother.
Yeah, man. And it was so much fun. I like to tell the story about the whole Solo Amame thing. Yeah. When we got done on that song in particular, right? They were telling me that when we were coming up with the song and coming up with the arrangement and everything, at the end of the song, we're gonna fade out. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So the ending is the ban, da, da, right? So I'm thinking we're gonna fade out, right? And of course, when you start, I'm pretty sure a lot of musicians, maybe you've done it too. Like when you're fading out towards the end, you start messing around, whatever, right? Yeah. So I'm start playing, right? And I just started messing with the bass drums. Start just doing like little ad libs. Yeah. Then the third, I think it was like the third or fourth turnaround, I started writing the bass drums. Yeah. Right?
It keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, and it's exactly. So then I just, assuming we're gonna fade out, I just did a riff of right.
You were assuming that was not going to come out on the
final
production.
I thought it would have already been done by that time. Yeah. So when I get off the drums, I'm going to the control room, right, to hear what I just did. So in between the control room and the drum room, there's a little hall. So when I got to that little hall, Turner meets me right there, and he tells me, "Bro, you don't think that was too much, man?" And I was like, he goes, "Maybe." So he literally stomped his foot on the ground. He goes, "Maybe you should have went." And I go, "Rock." I go, "No, we always do that." So as I'm telling him, "No, we always do that," I'm opening the door. I go like, "No, we always do that." I open the door to the control room, and Ricky Munoz looks at me and goes, "Dude, that was fucking awesome." Wow. Just like that. And he said, "We're keeping that." Yeah. So they kept it. And then they constructed the notes to the last piece that I hit.
For the ending.
For the ending, yeah.
Right. So Ricky Munoz produced that cumbia as well?
Yeah, that one and Que me amas.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just Que me amas.
No.
I saw that little mini clip where he's directing you guys in the studio, and he's...
And it's funny because he believe it or not, like he was... It's so weird, bro, because when we attempted to do the song without him, and... It just sounded a little too what I thought. It sounded a little too like typical. Like how do you say it? Like what's the word? Like predictable. There you go.
Oh,
it sounded too predictable. That's what I thought. Right. I never. Of course, you're a team player. We're a squad. We do things together. I guess like the majority rules, right? So you're a team player. You do what everybody else wants to do. But I would always think to myself like, man, why do we play the music exactly like the chorus all the time when we're recording songs? After we would do the chorus, like ya no me importa, and then the accordion. It
repeats the melody again.
Yeah, so I always think like, why are we always doing that? And I used to always think that, right? Yeah. So when we did Que Me Amas, it was almost Ricky Munoz had given us a demo, and we pretty much copied the demo, so to speak, and just made it a ranchera, which sounded predictable for.
It was a reggae. If
it was a reggae song, right? Yeah. So when Ricky came in, he like changed it, and that was like I'm thinking like that's that was good to have that brain in it, because we all were on the same page, and what he said, I remember him saying that it was like good for him to see how we worked together. Like we were excited to be. We even, and it's funny because he got there before we did. We were all running late. He was there before us. And I remember being in the drum room, putting my double pedal together, and he goes, "Joey, are you ready?" And I said, "Of course, I'm always ready." He goes, "Because I came in this with you in mind." He goes, "I want to bring out your inner Tommy Lee."
Oh shit!
And I was like, "I got you, man." So the whole recording process was super awesome, and he let me blaze at the end, and. It was like, it was such an experience to be in a room and to see how he works. And then for him, for the first time, to be around a totally different set of guys, because he'd never produced anybody else other than Intocable. Yeah. So he's in a room with us. And I mean, I thought it was perfect. And you know what freaked me out the most, bro? And it's so unfortunate, because I used to always ask, like I remember the first time we opened up for Duelo, right? And I remember being on the side of the stage, and Duelo was on stage, and everybody was going crazy for these dudes. And I'm standing there like, I don't get it, right? I was like, why? Like I thought it was like, it's boring, like it's slow. But the people were loving it. I was like, wow, what is it? So then, of course, I didn't know, right? And of course, then the guys were like, no, it's the songs, bro. It's the lyrics. I'm like, what? So then it makes you think, okay, so in order for us to get to that, we got to change certain things, right? So then we started, trying to do that, and it's so weird because we all thought, now we're working with Ricky Munoz from the biggest norteño band in the game, right? Who's never produced anybody else other than his own band. Now he's working with us. And then we have on another track, the number one lyricist in the game that has written hits for everybody, Luis Padilla. And it's like, these songs are going to change our lives. Yeah. And do anything. And that blows my mind. I'm like, where do we go wrong there? Because those are, talk about two of the, probably one of the biggest commercial hits of Signo's career. But it's so weird because if you think about it, even though we were working with Louis, even though we were working with Ricky, people probably recognize Ya No Me Importa more than, and that's Turner. Yeah. That those are his songs.
It's funny because you never know what people are going to resonate with, man.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's the most simple. I've heard so many stories, especially back in the day when they would do like 12 songs in an album. I remember there's so many stories out there. And the one that comes to mind is Pour Some Sugar on Me from Def Leppard, where he's like, oh, that was the last song we threw on. We just threw it on there. Like we didn't.
They needed to finish the record.
Yeah. And there's so many stories like that in the Tejano world, in the Grupero world, where you're like, man, like how we spend hours and hours in the studio trying to like come up with the hit, the perfect hit. Y la que menos piensas es la que.
What's crazy is that when we're recording the Yo Te Esperaré album, we probably did like 26 songs. Then they striked them all. Yeah. We had to do a whole new set. Like we were in the studio a lot for that record, But it freaked me out because I really thought when the whole process of us being in the studio with those two giants, I said, this is it. This is finally going to be our huge break. People are now going to pay attention to us because now we have the guy that has written pretty much 90-something% of Intocable's hits and so many other bands' hits is writing us an amazing song. We're being produced by Ricky Munoz. Now Ricky Munoz could talk about us. We could talk about him. And it didn't move.
No pasó nada.
No, dude, that's crazy.
It's one of those situations where I guess the stars didn't just align.
Yeah, man. But nevertheless, it was an amazing experience. Yeah. And, when I listen to that record, especially, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the musicianship, of the way it sounds, the way we played as a band, and it's like, you know, it's one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. But I just felt like, man, I thought it was gonna change our careers. You know, I thought that we were gonna finally be in that mainstream bracket, and it's so weird, man, because we were hitting a wall. You know, like we were hitting like I think Signo at one time, we were probably the biggest band in Texas, but that was it. Like, you know, we went to Florida. I mean, we would do good in Florida, but if we played, let's say for example, we played 4 shows in Florida, one of those shows there would be nobody there. We have to pack up and leave, you know. But Texas was like our thing. But it just, you know, it makes you stop and think, like, man, like, we just, I don't know. I don't know why we weren't accepted in that, like, to that stature, you know. I mean, I think we were an amazing band live, you know, the attraction to go see us live and perform. I mean, the band was on another level, you know. I like to think so, you know, because I mean, I was there. We would be there when we were jamming, and people would be. I remember we did a Midwest tour one time with Duelo, and we're supposed to do 4 shows. We're opening up for them. By the 3rd show, they wanted us to close because we're going on first, and the people were going wild. Like, I'm talking crazy wild for Signo. And then I was like, wait a second, what's going on here, you know? But I mean, at the end of the day, we were just going up there to give people their money's worth, you know?
Hell yeah.
You know, we weren't in competition with anybody.
Claro.
We just were trying to, you know, go up there and do the best that we can to capture the people's response, you know? And for the most part, it worked, and it was great. But it's just like, man, you know, I wish we could have gotten to the level of headlining La Arena Monterrey or headlining the Nokia Theater in Los Angeles, and because I'd always think to myself, like, we have the same instruments Intocable does, it's the same thing, but it was, you know, I mean, those guys are on a whole another level, you know.
Joey, would you say that a situation like that where you guys were hitting the wall, do you think that it had to do with the powers that be, like the people who control this?
Well, what I would hear,
entertainment y todo?
What I would hear was, we weren't norteño enough. And I don't know if it had to do with the image or what, but they would always say, like, and like, for example, over there in the West Coast, we were considered like an underground band. So we would go play. I remember we did a gig with Intocable in Visalia, California. This was like in 2013 or 2014. And we opened up for them, and we played at the Visalia Convention Center. And I remember going on stage, and the crowd went crazy, bro. So there was a few people in the audience with posters that said, we love Signo or Signo number 1 or something like that. And I was like, wow, like, you know. But then other times we would go, they'd put us in a small room, a room of like a 400 capacity. And it would be packed, but we couldn't get past that level of going into a convention center by ourselves or a headlining band or whatever. But I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know what people's deal was, because I do know that when we recorded, we did El Perdón, and we did Despacito. We were trying to play the game to get to that level. I would hear from a lot of people like, how come y'all don't record stuff like the Signo thread? And although you want to give people what they want, you also want to give yourself what you want, you know. Like, for example, if they're like, okay, if you do this, you can go to the next level. I mean, who doesn't want to go to the next level, right? But at what cost?
You can crash and burn as well.
Exactly.
You run that risk of selling out and people not believing it.
Exactly. So I just felt like, man, it's so unfortunate, because I felt we held our own. You know, we would go out there and we would prove to people like we were a machine.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Oye, carnal, pero it's like right now you say that you guys were not norteño enough. I mean, Frontera's not norteño enough, you know? And I'm not trying to make a comparison. It's very different times, very different band. Pero it's weird how, I mean, it's like a fusion of styles, especially with Edgar Barrera composing for them.
Right.
And how they've broken through. And it goes back to what I was asking you earlier, that I think it has to do more with the people that are in control, the powers that be, that say who gets to jump and who doesn't.
Well, we had a guy, part of our team, who apparently the guy was, you mentioned his name earlier. I don't want to say nobody's name, but you mentioned his name earlier. That was part of, was responsible for the Duranguense movement.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it was like, well, this guy could do things. And so he became part of the,
with Signo. That's true.
And that it's crazy because that kind of led to the whole eye opening of, where's all our money going to? Our money's going to that squad, that agency or whatever, and over here, and it just seemed like everybody had their hand in the cookie jar, and not the band. Yeah. But nevertheless, it was like we go with this guy. This guy was responsible for creating a movement in the Duranguense world. Yeah. Maybe he's got knowledge. Let's take the chance. We did, and it's like we were working a lot, but it wasn't. There was something that wasn't really happening, And I mean, that's what I would always hear is that you guys aren't norteño enough. I'm like, what? Richard Rosales, the bajo player, would say that. He would hear people say that, like, it's because you guys aren't norteño enough, and I never understood that. But I always thought that the music would was doing the talking,
speaking for itself.
Yeah, and then it's so weird because, like I said, once we recorded those songs, I said, "Oh, we're gonna buy a house with these songs,"
This is it.
Yeah, and no, unfortunately,
that's weird, bro. Oye, carnal, ahorita you mentioned when Ricky went into the studio when you were setting up your drums and he wanted to bring out the Tommy Lee in you. Tommy Lee is big influence in not only the way you play but just your style in general. Like your love for Motley Crue, man. When did that start?
Since I was a kid, bro. Like I was probably 3 years old when I discovered MTV, and Motley Crue was one of the first bands that I just. It's kind of like when you put a little kid in front of a TV to watch cartoons to tame them. That's what my mom would do, but it wasn't cartoons; it was MTV. Yeah, and I was just stuck to the TV, And then them, I remembered what they looked like. I remembered how he was performing, and I just everything about it's not like I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be him, and the whole showmanship, the way he played the drums, the way he executed everything. I just thought, first and foremost, I thought it was so cool, I was like, this is what I want to do like that. And that's how come, whenever I don't know if you pay attention to a lot of drummers, when they play, drummers are normally here, like everything is here. Me, I'm like this. When I hit, I'm up here, and it's all because of Tommy Lee, the twirling, the throwing the sticks in the air, and I would always get, when I would read articles of his or whatever, and he would always talk about, when you're in the band, the drummer's in the back. Yeah. So he would try to bring the drums to the front.
So that was intentional. His style, his his showmanship, the way he would play,
because he wanted people to be like, dude, did you see the drummer back there? And it's crazy because even though I'll never forget, I used to play with this one band from we were from Houston. It's just a local band that we put together. We recorded 2 records. It was called Grupo Mítico. We toured a lot in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Well, our lead vocalist was from Monterrey, and so when our lead vocalist comes to Houston to rehearse with us, and he's watching me play, and it's just neat. It's just second skin, bro. It's just like learning how to breathe. It's something that happens. So when I play, my intentions are always it's so weird because even in the studio, if I'm playing, recording a song, I'll flip the stick it's just part of who I am, So when the singer, we're rehearsing and he's watching me play, he's freaking out on watching me rehearse in this room. And then I'm watching a Motley Crue video and he goes, "Hey, el baterista tocó igual que tú, güey." I'm like, no.
I play like
I play like him. He was freaking out, Yeah. But that for me, that was my thing, is of course, there wasn't nobody like that in playing norteño music. You know what I'm saying? I mean, here I was on, for example, there I was at the Aragon Ballroom sitting next to, ¿cómo se llama? Chato Hernandez. Chato Esquivel from... or was it Hernandez Esquivel from Los Regleros? Esquivel.
No.
Are they Hernandez? Oh my God, Chato, forgive me for forgetting.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting with him, Adrian Regalado from Primavera, Jose Luis, que en paz descanse, and Renee, and I'm in shorts, Vans, cap backwards, eyeliner, gloves, cut-off shirt, playing the same style that these guys are playing.
They're probably like, hey, dude, you're at the wrong concert,
exactly,
bro.
Yeah, exactly. but it brought people like, who's this dude? You know? And I'll never forget, because I knew the guys from Intocables since back in the Excelencia days. Because when I was playing with Excelencia in the early 90s, they were huge Excelencia fans. As más, I want to say their first gig as Intocable, they opened up for Excelencia in San Ignacio, Texas. And when I met them, you know, they were huge Excelencia fans. So they would see me, and then I'm coming over here to when I joined. It was more so when I joined Signo. I remember having a conversation with Renee, and he was telling me that, like through conversation of like the Luis Marios, the Güeros, the Simon Borrajas, like all the hardcore norteño drummers were like, where the hell did this dude come from? He's like he came to our world and he took it somewhere else. And there was I had got tagged one time in a video of a podcast that Simon did, and they were asking him like, who's the best? And he says, no, well, they're all good. You know, I respect them all. Everybody's got their own. He goes, but there's just one guy that he's from Signo. He goes, his name is Joey Jimenez. He goes, that dude is. He goes, he's on. And the guy that was interviewing him, he goes, está pesado. He goes, oh,
otro pedo.
He goes, this guy came and just changed what we're used to.
Yeah.
You know, and that meant everything to me. You know, because I mean, I've never approached anything that I've done, whether in life or professional, for acknowledgement. Yeah. You know, especially professionally. Like, I play drums because I love it.
Hell yeah.
My wife knows how much the playing the drums means to me. That's my passion. That's what I've known my entire life.
Yeah.
So I'm not here. I've never done it to get, you know, acknowledged. I mean, and trust me, dude. When I was younger, my dad used to tell me, he said, people are gonna acknowledge your talent because you're so young, and your skill level is. And he's telling me this at 11, 10 years old. Like, your skill, you're too advanced. You're a kid. You're advanced already. Yeah. He goes, and he would always tell me, like, you know, you need to remember that there's always somebody better. Don't ever walk around like you're this guy, you know. So I've always walked with those words my entire career. So although I play drums because that's my passion, I love God blessed me with the gift of rhythm to express myself on this beautiful instrument for everyone. But when people acknowledge that, man, that's a really cool feeling, you know.
Man, respect, bro.
Yeah,
respect. I know for a fact that ever since we started this podcast and we wanted to, you know, have professional musicians on here, but our concern is always, man, are they gonna want to come, you know, and talk about what they do and everything? And to see you and hear you do it con tanta humildad, you know, you're very down to earth. All I can say is thank you, man.
Oh, thank you. And you know, it's funny because I would tell a lot of people, because of course, you know, there's people out there that as many people love you, there's as many people that don't love you, or whatever, you know. And I would always tell people, it's like, wow, man, like I always felt like if anybody had anything negative to really say about me, I'm like, they don't really know me, because, you know, I've had people tell me in the past that I was very unapproachable. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, I don't know, man. You just seem like I don't know, like
the tattoos.
It's something, you know, it's something. But I was like, no, man, like, you know, like I've always been down with the cause, you know. Mm-hmm. I remember, in particular, one time playing. I had first joined Signo, and we were like, I was probably in the band for like about a month, and we played. And mind you, I was coming from playing with AB, stadiums, arenas, like monstrosity shows in front of thousands of people. And I remember playing at this place in Hereford, Texas. It was called the Presidente. That place was caído de madre. But, dude, I was having the time of my life, bro. I remember being on the drums, and there wasn't even that many people there. But we were there, we were jamming, the band sounded good. I was on this riser, and the tables of the venue were all it was just Kylo there. But dude, I was just like, I remember just saying to myself, God, thank you that I'm still able to play and do this, because when you're able to do something that you love more than anything in this world for a living, that's a blessing.
Yeah, es un regalo de Dios.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk a little bit about tu jefito, que en paz descanse. Who, I mean, I would imagine that he was a huge influence in not only your playing, but also the way you conduct yourself, the way you carry yourself.
My dad, dude, let me tell you something about my dad. I tell my wife all the time. My dad was one of those guys. I would be at home, right, on a Sunday, like at, I don't know, 4 p.m. Somebody knock on. I look outside. What the hell is this? Some chaparrito guy with a cowboy hat with a leather vest, like in a maroon van. Aquí está Chiquillo. That's what everybody known my dad. My dad, they know him as Chiquillo. His name is Jose Joe Jimenez Sr., but nobody ever called him that. Everybody knew him as Chiquillo Jimenez.
Okay.
So he goes, aquí está Chiquillo. Hold on, Dad. There's some dudes here, some short little Mexican guy, and my dad would come, and I would go back to my room, and then my dad would be like, "Son, I'll be back." Like, where you going? I'm gonna go gig. What do you mean? The guy came. He needed a drummer. He was playing at Tariada, and my dad played with everybody. He did not discriminate. Nothing. Yeah, he played with everything, and it's funny because my dad comes from the old school orquesta era. My dad, my dad played drums with Latin Breed. He played drums with Carlos Guzman, Alfonso Ramos. He did Machismo con Matias, USA Band. Like, he comes from the big band era of Tejano music. And he's all about the musicianship and pocket and all this stuff. And me, I'm Motley Crue and all this stuff and this flash stuff. And he would always tell me that it was popcorn music. Like, he would come see me play with Signo, right? And Signo wasn't his mole. Like, it's just, and he would be just there, standing right at the corner, looking at me play, and I'm there sweating, jamming, and people are like, whatever. And I get done, and I would look at him, and he would just.
He wasn't impressed.
Like, you're putting me to sleep.
Wow.
Like, you're not making me want to dance. Like, what the heck? Yeah. But it all came from him. I mean, at the end of the day, my the talent, it's in my DNA because of my father. And I remember one of the pioneers of Tejano, Richard Solis. Richard Solis was with Latin Breed, Ram, played with freaking everybody, legend drummer. And I remember when I was with Excelencia, we played together, and I knew who Richard Solis was, this older guy, right? And I was just like, that's Richard Solis, man. And he comes up to me, he's like, Mijo, where are you from? Because I was a little dude. I was 13 playing with Excelencia.
Wow.
And he's like, where are you from? I said, I'm from Seguin. You're from Seguin? I go, yeah. He goes, who are your parents? I go, my dad's Chiquillo Jimenez. What? Your dad is Chiquillo? I'm like, yeah. Oh, man, Chiquillos are bad. I mean, I'm looking at Richard Solis like, this is Richard Solis. And he's giving all the praise to my dad. And I was just like, wow, man, that was super awesome, to have. And he goes, pues no wonder, the bloodline. And, but yeah, man, my dad, it came from him, man.
Él fue te lo heredó.
Yeah.
Lo de la música. How old were you when you joined Excelencia?
13.
13 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was 13.
And yeah, touring, recording.
Dude, I played my first live show with Excelencia. No rehearsal. Because I was a fan. I knew all their music. Wow. Like, they literally ran set lists on paper. And when I came, I mean, I'm barely a teenager. Yeah. And they were like, this dude don't need a set list. I knew all the songs. So they were like, dude, we would throw songs out on the fly at the shows. And I played my first gig with Excelencia here in the Valley in Harlingen. Back then it was called Studio 4. And 5 years, 4 albums. Like, I remember, I've said this story before, when I went into the studio with them in Houston at legendary Sugar Hill Studios. That's where they recorded all their records there. And they had the Leo's working the mixing board and that ran the studio. And I mean, they've had monster musicians in this studio.
What city was this at?
In Houston.
Houston,
yeah,
okay.
Sugar Hill Studios in Houston.
Oh, wow.
And here comes this 13-year-old little kid, and they're like, what's this? You know, or they see
Who brought
me-
their kid?
Yeah, and then I go in the drum room and I'm putting my pedal and they're like, and then I play. Well, I record the first song. They were like, what the hell? Like, it freaked them out.
Yeah.
You know, and what's cool is like, I listened to that record. It's called Un Ángel No Debe Llorar. That's the name of the album. And I listen to it to this day, and it trips me out because I'm like, I can't believe that's me. Like, when I hear it, I'm like, I can't believe, like, it don't sound like a 13-year-old kid playing drums.
It sounds like somebody who's seasoned already that knows what's
and
up.
I'm just like, and I pay attention to the phrasing. I pay attention to how I approached going to the next section of the songs and stuff like that. It's like, I was already todo lo que da at 13 years old. Yeah. And it freaks me out. And then
you were like, I imagine that your mind was already 4 or 5 years ahead as far as the way you looked at music.
I don't think he was thinking when he was doing it. It was just
what's
happening.
crazy. What's crazy is
Just
that
reacted.
what helped me is that earlier on, before Excelencia, I was playing with this local band from Seguin, and that local band, we became the opening act for Selena and Los Dinos. We did, I think it was like 2 years opening up for her everywhere. I played the Villarreal when I was 11. Wow. And we came and did the Valley. We did outdoor shows in South Padre. We were opening up for her everywhere she went. And it was we were going to record a record. And I remember AB was going to produce us. That's how I met them.
So you've known AB since
I've known
then.
AB since I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's because I'll give you a little short stint on that. Is that back then Tejano music was bumping, right? Yeah. So if you had a Tejano band that was decent, you could play gigs. And we were a cover band. We just played covers. Whatever was on the radio, that's what we played. So they would, let's say for example, if they were going to Pecos, Texas, they would see our flyer that we were either coming or we had already played at that place. Then they would go to San Antonio and they see our flyer like, wait a minute, we just saw. So it got to the point where we're like, who are these guys? We see them everywhere. But they never heard us on the radio because we didn't have no album. We didn't have no music. Yeah. So I think AB called the number on that flyer, which was
booking.
Yeah, for the booking, which was Carlos Miranda Jr.'s mom, Berta. And then was like, who are these guys or what's going on? And I see them everywhere. And she's like, oh, this is my son, his band, boom, boom. So AB decided, well, I want to see who these guys are. So he came to Seguin, my hometown, for us to audition. Or he wanted to hear us play. Oh, wow. So I remember getting home from school and my mom saying, hey, Berta's come to pick you up. You're going to have a rehearsal. I didn't know who AB was. I didn't know anything.
But Selena was already Selena.
They had just dropped Baila Esta Cumbia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they had just gotten signed with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So they had the Coca-Cola trucks, right? So mind you, this is the first time I had ever seen a BMW before in my life. Was parked outside the salon because Carlos's parents owned a little salon in Seguin. That's where we would rehearse. It was called the Nochecita Hall. So when we pull up, I'm like, it's the first time I see like a fancy luxury car. We go in and he's there with his wife, Vanjie at the time. Yeah. And we go and set up our stuff and we play like Emilio, La Mafia, Mas for him. And he just said, I guess he saw potential. So we said, how would you guys like to go on the road as Selena's opening act? Wow. So we went on the road with him, right? So one thing that he noticed right away was my tempo would fluctuate up and down. And there was no direction. I didn't know. I was just playing, right?
You didn't know about metronomes.
I didn't know about none of that. So one day we're having rehearsal. We're actually we're practicing because we're gonna go into the studio to record like our first album. And so we were rehearsing, and I remember they were gonna go eat Mr. Gaddy's, and I was like, "Oh, they were going to Mr. Gaddy's. I'm hungry." And he said, "No, you're staying here." And I'll never forget. He went to the keyboard and he put in the beat. It was 107 BPMs metronome. You need to play to that. I didn't understand what he meant. I'm like, he goes, your tempo is horrible. You need to learn how to. So I literally stayed there for like almost 2 hours, just playing to it, embedding it in my head. Got to the point to where when it was time for us to go into the studio and they hit the click track disappeared because it was already here. Yeah. I was 10 years old. So that's what helped me throughout my entire career till this day. Yeah. That's how come when I was recording with Excelencia and those white dudes were like, what the hell is this? Little huerquillo. And it got to, it's one thing when you're playing to a metronome and you're trying to be perfect, but nobody's perfect. We're humans, right? It's another thing when you play with a metronome and the metronome just disappears and it's all feel. Yeah. That's something that can't be taught. You're just born with it, you know? And again, you know, I give praise to, you know, I always say I'm blessed by the best, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it helped. That regañada that I got when I was 10 helped me throughout my entire career.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So that's where those pictures of you playing the drums with Selena come from. Because I remember you posted some
because
pictures. But I thought, I'm sorry for interrupting, but when you posted those pictures, I thought that was you like showing up just at a concert and that they let you on the drums somehow.
Okay, so while we were opening up for them, right? Yeah. We would do gigs, and they would, we were already playing every night with them. Right. You know, every gig with them. So one night in Austin, I was there watching them on the side of the stage, and AB is playing bass, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, like, you want to come play?" And I don't know, you know. He come on. He had his headset, so he calls me on stage. Mm-hmm. So I go up there, and I think I played a song or two songs. I think it was one song. So that turned into we did it again the next night, and then we went home for the week, and then we did it again on Friday, and then we did it again on Saturday. Then it turned into 2 songs. Then it turned into 3 songs. And then they would call me up to sit in every night. So they would introduce Suzette as the only female Tejano drummer in La Onda Tejana. And then when they would introduce me, I was the youngest drummer in La Onda Tejana. Yeah. So that's how that happened. But then fast forward to towards the end of the little thing that we had with them, there was a falling out between Carlos and AB or Mr. Q, something like that. Something happened there. So we got off the road with them, right? So fast forward to like a couple of months afterwards, or maybe it was 6 months afterwards, Suzette calls me when I come home from school one day, and basically, long story short, she needs somebody to fill in for her. So I knew the song.
All set?
Yeah, the gigs. I went and did gigs with them for her, and I knew the songs. I knew the signs. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I was just a little kid.
Was it that electric kid with the trap set and everything?
The D-drum.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So I went and I played with them, and I did a lot of gigs with them. And it just so happened that before the gig I did with them in Houston, I was filling in a show at Market Square in San Antonio for my dad. My dad had to work that day, and his band was playing at Market Square. So my dad said, "Son, can you fill in for me?" So when I went to play there was this family that was there that was like, "Oh, who's this little kid or whatever?" So the dad and the mom came and introduced themselves to my mom. And they told my mom, "We're from Houston, this and that." My mom says, "Well, my son's playing in Houston next week with Selena." What? They went to go see me play, snapped those pictures, and they send them to my mom. So I've had those pictures since 1992.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people can say that, man? That they played with the drums with Selena at what?
I was 11.
12 years old. That's crazy, man. That's history right
there. But that's how this whole thing started with the Quintanillas and with me eventually being with AB, because when AB, believe it or not, after the fact of what happened with Selena and everything, he reached out to me in 97 that he was going to start a band. He wanted to get back into music and start a band. And he already had a name, the Cumbia Kings. It was just, as of that conversation, it was just him and Cruz. And he was kind of, you know, trying to find people that, you know, people he knew or people that Cruz knew. And
I'm sorry for interrupting. Can we cut for the next video? Okay, it's gonna be time, right, for the hour. I don't want it to go over an hour because this is a good subject.
Yeah. No.
I want to keep it on one track. Hold that thought, Joey.
No, you're good.
I know we're over 2 hours already.
It's funny because a lot of people have always told me like it's, and I tell my wife, right, because I go live on TikTok or on Facebook, whatever, and I told her, like, after I've gone live, this is gonna sound real chops, but after I go live, right, I've already been on live for, let's say, 45 minutes, an hour. I go back and I watch the whole thing, and I tell her, I said, "Babe, I told good stories." Yeah. And then people were telling me, like, "Man, you're a good storyteller, Joey." Like, I'm like, well, I go through all these things, you know. So I try to see, like, I try to be animated so you feel like you're there.
That's what I was gonna say. That it doesn't get boring, and I'll say it straight out. I mean, I think I've seen pretty much all the interviews that you've ever done, especially here in the Valley, con Rock and Roll James. You know, the one you just recently did in Dallas, and it's entertaining. I don't know if it's because I'm a drummer and I'm listening to a drummer talk about drums, but overall, like I feel like you're very engaging. You know, you go through all the details and a lot of things that I'm like, I'm about to ask myself, like, I wonder if he's going to say that. And then you say it. I'm like, oh, badass. I wanted to know that. Like, just cool details, man. Pero I think it goes back to the fact that you're passionate, bro.
I am.
About what you do. And I think just in general, man, you seem like a very passionate guy.
We were doing a tour in Mexico called, it was Estrella, the beer Estrella.
Okay.
They had we did a 6-month tour. They sponsored this tour, and it's crazy because it was Maria Jose was pop, Nikki Clan, who was like a punk rock, like a No Doubt, Moenia was like Depeche Mode, and then AB, right? We're on this concert, this tour. So I remember one of our first shows we played in Cancun, and I remember seeing the guys from Moenia, and I knew who Moenia was. I didn't know any of their other guys. And I would be like, and the drummer, it's so crazy, bro, because the drummer, I saw the drummer, right? He was kind of short, bald-headed. This dude looked very intimidating, like very intimidating. So I would see him, and I'm like, and mind you, we played every Saturday for 6 months together. So probably like in the second month, we were playing, and he came up to me, and I didn't know he knew English. So he came up to me and just started talking, and he goes, brother, where are you from? And then he's like, dude, like, you are freaking everybody out. Because, I mean, we're playing cumbia, you know, but of course it was AB's unique style.
Yeah.
Then you add what you add live. And he said, dude, everybody just se quedan con la boca abierta when you're playing. Like, everybody's on the side of the stage, like, mira este vato, like, you know, the showmanship, the whole, just the whole thing. And I was like, wow, man. And so, just so happened, shout out to Ivan Moreno. Ivan ended up being the go-to guy for tours in Mexico. Like, he was on tour with Timberiche. He's the original member, founding member of Molotov. He was with Café Tacuba. He was on tour with Robbie Rosa. What's the other band? There's another pop band that he was with, and then he was with Moenia for all those years. And like, he was the guy that people sought out for a tour. And then here I was, you know, rubbing elbows with this guy, and the sweetest person. And he just kept telling me, brother, like I remember they had a guitar player with them, and he goes, dude, that guy was just like, I don't really like cumbia music. He goes, but I enjoy watching Joey perform. I was like, wow, that meant a lot to me, man. It was
just a different,
yeah.
different stuff.
I got it, and you know, you give credit where credit's due, and I give a lot of credit to AB for, you know, he gave me a lot of shine time in the band because I would come out first on stage, and mind you, at those times, I'd walk out in front of 80,000 people. I'd walk out in front of 100,000 people, 40,000 people, 25,000 people in whatever stadium, in whatever country we were at. I was the first person to walk on stage, and I would go to the front, and I would get the people going because we had an intro, and then there would be like this drum loop, and I would go to the drums and then like get everybody to clap their hands, and I would play to the loop, and then I'd stop, and then, you know, for everybody to scream, and then the guys would get on stage, and then we would start the show.
You're like the hype man.
Exactly.
Kind of like rappers when they have their hype man.
And I got to the point when we were going to South and Central America, I would ask for the state of the flag, and I would come out with the flag, and the people would go crazy. Dude, let me tell you,
that
dude,
shit,
I experienced like that crazy boy band type fame playing with AB, like stuff that you see on TV of like Backstreet Boys and, you know, New Kids on the Block in the 90s, like the whole, like
that's the effect they had, especially in Mexico, man.
Oh, dude,
Cumbia Kings era una fiebre.
When we went to South America for the very first time, well, my very first time, bro, the news was there when we showed up. And then what's crazy is that we get to the airport, we fly in, and then we go to the hotel. When we get to the hotel, we all get, you know, situated, go to our rooms. And then it was like, let's go eat at the restaurant, at the hotel. Excuse me. We get to the room. we go to the restaurant. And the TV's on the restaurant. And it shows the plane pulling up. It shows the thing going down. It shows us coming out. And people going crazy, yelling, Cumbia cakes, cumbia, like crazy. And I was like, wow, this is insane. Like that to be able to experience that was awesome, bro. Like and like I said, you walk out on stage and you're just like, I remember my first gig with AB. I'll never forget. We played in Puebla, Mexico, at a soccer stadium, and we had this enormous stage, and the front of the stage went out to the crowd and made like a T, right? So we're playing at this soccer stadium, and pues we're there for sound check. So before we started playing or whatever, I was just there looking at. I mean, this is like a huge stage setup, lights, just like rock and roll. That's what I'm thinking in my head, right? So I just so happened to walk out to the lead singer ramp deal, and then I went to this side of the T, and I was just looking at a section of this stadium, and I'm just like, Jesus, this place is enormous. And then one of the guys from the representation company that we were with was Ocesa was the name of the company. One of the guys, his name was Pedro Reyes, and he comes and he just tells me, "¿Qué te parece?" Like I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." Like I didn't really know Spanish that much, but he would understand when I was like, "Wow,"
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, este está todo vendido. Like he said, 80,000 personas, todo vendido.
Wow.
And I knew what that meant. That meant sold out 80,000 people. and I thought, like, that's like, I grew up in Seguin, bro. Seguin's a small town. And Seguin at the time was like 26,000 people. So I'm like, that's like 4 Seguins in this one building. Yeah.
All screaming at the same time.
Yes. And I was just like, whoa. Like, that was my first gig. And it's crazy because they were all like that. And if anything, some of them were more crazier than others. You know what I mean? And it's so weird because I even tell my wife, we talk and I'll say stories, and it's like I remember back when we were opening up for Selena, when I was playing with Carlos, we were opening up for Selena, I didn't know that Selena was Selena. Like I just thought they were people, like they were people to us, and of course, she had fans everywhere, and I knew AB and I knew the whole family, Chris and everybody. And then when I started playing with AB, and it's like this dude became an international freaking superstar. Like, this is insane. So to know him from back then, and then to know that when we're playing a freaking stadium and people are going wild, fainting and crying and just everything. And it's just like, whoa, like it freaks me out. Like, and the fact that he gave me a drum solo in the show, in the middle of the show. And then he gave me a drum solo at the end, like he gave me a lot of shine time. I mean, like I was the first person to come out, like I was saying. He gave me a lot of shine time, so that part of my career really changed my career, like really changed my life, like to be exposed to that type of environment and lifestyle of being in a band that's just on top of the world was super awesome and very gratifying.
But I think by the time you got there, you were prepared mentally. And emotionally, like to handle it, because I think most of us wouldn't be able to handle that.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you one thing. One of the Chris was one of the guys that would always tell me, like, look, dude, everybody's gonna do everything for you here. Mm-hmm. You anything you want, however you want it done, it's gonna get done. That's just the name of the game. You need to learn how to keep your feet on the ground, by all means necessary, because you could easily fall into that and become a person, arrogant like that, and thinks whatever.
But he told you this in the Selena era, or
no, when I started playing with AB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because now it was a different. I mean, even him, bro. Like the people it was crazy, bro. Like, I mean, I would freak out, like, and every time I would experience it, it would remind me of seeing like a Metallica or an AC/DC or an Iron Maiden or Motley Crue, Def Leppard, their concerts and these stadiums, and you see these fans. It's the same exact thing. The only difference is that we're playing cumbias, and I mean, and they're going wild, I mean, we were in somewhere, I forgot, we're in Mexico somewhere, and I remember it was the next day, we had to go, we played the show, I think it was in Morelos, Michoacan, and we stayed at the hotel. And the next morning, we had to go to another city to play, but we're eating breakfast in the hotel, and the front of the hotel was all glass. So the fans are all just looking at us eat, and somebody looked that way, they would scream or whatever, and so all I remember, and it's so crazy, bro, because I felt like it happened in slow motion. I just remember eating, I think I was eating eggs or something, and I just remember seeing these guys, because I remember Pee Wee and Rook and all them were sitting at this table. My back was to the window, or to the front desk, or over there in the lobby, and I just remember seeing them like get up. It's like, I'm telling you, like I felt like it happened in slow motion. I just remember seeing them like with their faces like, holy shit, and get up. And when that happened, I'm looking at them like, what's going on? And I turn, and you just see everybody running in the freaking hotel, and we all dipped to the kitchen.
Wow.
We had to get the hell out of there. Because people weren't allowed to go in. They were real strict. But something happened. They broke a glass or something. They came, and they all came charging in. And, dude, it was crazy.
It gets scary at that point, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
It was wild, man. It really was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Good times, man. Do you keep up with AB todavía?
I don't, man. It's God bless him, but I couldn't even tell you. I guess a little bit of me, because of the history, I wish things were different.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's best the way it is. I don't have, like I said, I gave him props. He's responsible for changing my career. And I will always live up to that, and always give credit where credit's due. But it's just, I guess he's going through his own stuff, and I wish him the best. I've seen what he's gone through in the past, but I've also seen how he's treating people, and it's it's unfortunate, but
absolutely. I would definitely not excuse him, but I think for all of us in general, it's hard to look at life through his eyes. I mean, the guy's been nothing but a musician for all his life, man. And of course, going through the tragedy that they went through, we all react differently, man. It's like PTSD, some soldiers get it, some don't. And I can say also from experience, of course, working with him as well, he produced our first album. And I'm on the same boat, man. I got nothing but love and gratitude, man, porque él nos dio la oportunidad. Right now, you were talking about him showing up in his BMW at your house. It was kind of the same with us. We lived here in Alton. We would practice in a truck. El camión, our camión for the gear, that was our practice room. We practiced in there. He showed up in his Hummer. Bert was there.
Big Bird.
Yeah. Some other guys showed up with him, and they were there to check us out. They had heard about us on the radio y todo, and AB was, picking up bands here from the Valley. And, I mean, if it wasn't for that, we probably would have just stayed here in the Valley, just, keep recording demos and stuff. So, I wish, regardless of whatever happened and the way things ended, which they didn't end bad, it's just that, things didn't happen for us, and we parted ways, and that was it. Pero siempre agradecido, man. And, I mean, siempre, I've said it a few times here on this podcast. I mean, if he ever listens and wants to join us, bienvenido, las puertas están abiertas. I got nothing but love.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I mean, like I said, whatever that's been weird or different or whatever. I mean, I've always been there or been here, been his friend, been his support system because of everything he's done for me in my career. I'm very appreciative of that. Whatever he's felt on his end, I mean, that's on him. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I mean, I don't forget being, when he offered me the job, when I finally took the job, because I went to the first rehearsal of Cumbia Kings in '97. There was only like 5 of us in Studio B over there at his studio at his house in Cal Allen. And, it's weird because I don't know why, but I wasn't convinced. I don't know. I mean, I was 16. No. Yeah, I was 16 years old.
What were you doing at the time?
I was playing with Excelencia.
Oh, okay.
I was playing with Excelencia. And he had called me that he was going to start a band. And if I would come to Corpus. And I did. And I went. And it was fun. It was fun to be in the studio. And we were playing. Like, we were just kind of just jamming songs just to see, what the vibe or whatever. But I just wasn't convinced. Like, I didn't join. Like I did the first rehearsal and everything, and then before they even played their first performance. And I said this before on a podcast that we were playing in Corpus at a place called, I think it was called Tejano Nights or Tequila Nights or something like that. And I was playing with Excelencia. Like, we're playing on stage, and I saw a line of baseball caps come in the Tejano Club. And I'm like, who's that or what? I mean, there was a lot of people dancing, but you could see, right? And then I don't see them because the speakers are right there. And then it's the Cumbia Kings, all of them.
Yeah,
right,
the whole lineup,
and like the bright Skittle color clothes, like right here. And I'm playing drums. I'm like, oh, I see AB, I see Cruz. I'm like, what the hell? So when I get off, I mean, dude, he didn't care that David and the band was there. He straight up came up to me and said, hey, we're here. The only one missing is you. And I was just like, what? Like, I mean, you know, he didn't care. You know, he went to go recruit.
Yeah.
And David was really butthurt about that. But I didn't do it. Like, I didn't do it. And throughout the years, he called me to join that band like 8-9 times until I finally said yes. Yeah. And this is one thing I will say about him is that I told him when he was offering me the job, I said, look, man, I've heard a lot throughout, you know, my peers, how you treat people, that, you know, you weren't doing this, you weren't doing that. And he told me straight up, he goes, Joey, I'm going to be frank with you. He goes, I've known you since you were a kid. He goes, all I can give you is my word. And I promise you, bro, from that conversation till the conversation I sent him that I was leaving the band, everything he said he would do for me, he did, and more. Never once screwed me, never once went back on his word, always had my back. Whatever I needed, he was there. So in that sense, 100%.
Yeah.
And
there's always two sides to the coin, man. I mean, everybody says that he's this and that with the people, but they never talk about what the other people might have done to him, or, you know, we don't know. We weren't there to say, pero the fact that that's an experience, that was your experience with AB, that says a lot, man.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, it was awesome, bro. Yeah. You know, it was awesome. I guess everything happens for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And it took its course, and then it was time for me to move on.
All right, man. Well, yeah, Joy, you're taking us through memory lane. It's been a roller coaster, man. We're doing something very new here in this podcast. I don't think we've ever gone over 2 hours, right, for a podcast. Never. So we're breaking records. But if it's
everybody tells me when I'm doing their shows, they're like, dude, like, because it just goes by.
Yeah.
And like, even when I did Baqueteros Macizos there in Dallas, they were like, what the heck? Like,
se fue de volada.
Se fue de volada.
Yeah, but it like I said, it doesn't feel like a long time. I mean, you're you know, bringing all these memories back and giving us all this new information about what you're doing. I mean, now with Loco Pacion y todo eso. I mean, it's a trip, and we got nothing but love, man, and we wish you all the luck and success with your project and everything you're doing. We're gonna get ready to close up, but before I do that, I want to talk about your logo here on your cap.
Oh, the jams.
I know that's something also. I've heard the story about that, how that came about. You know, you have a clothing brand, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it wasn't my idea.
All right.
It's not one day I woke up and said I want to start a clothing brand or whatever, or logo or brand. Period. Right. It wasn't my idea. It was actually our road manager's idea that we had with Signo years ago, and. Just basically through a drive to Corpus, were just telling me like, hey, have you ever thought about starting a clothing line or something? I was like, what? Like, no. And I was like, yeah, you have a unique style. You know, you're different than everybody, and people follow you. And dude, I promise you, and my wife will be the first one to tell you that I just don't see. I did at the time. I did not see anyone wearing anything that had to do with me, or. Sometimes she would say, well, what if you put a picture on a T-shirt? I'm like, I can't see people wearing a picture with my face on it. Like, I just can't. Like, I don't see, like, yeah, it'll sell. Let's do it. You know, no, I just don't. I've never been that guy. So for somebody to tell me you should start something and it's going to be yours and people are going to, I'm like, what? People are going to buy? Really? You think so? Like, that was my thing. Yeah. So she introduced me to this guy. His name was Juan. I forgot his last name. He's from San Antonio. So I agreed to meet with him because he could help me get it started, right? Mind you, I had no name. I didn't know what I was going to call it. I didn't know anything. But I just knew that I wanted to make some shirts and some caps, socks, like a cool brand, like badass line. So I meet this guy, and he introduces himself, and we're at his shop. His shop, he had it was kind of like a hot top, not like a hot top, it was like a skater shop, but he had made shirts and he made a bunch of merch, and it was awesome. It was pretty awesome, and he was gonna help me design stuff and whatever. So when I met him, he was like, "So I was thinking about what you could call it," and I was like, "Okay." He goes, and the one thing that kept popping up in my head was your last name, Jimenez. He goes, and then Jimenez, the 3 letters that popped out were the J, the M, and the Z. He goes, so when I thought about JMZ, he goes, how would you pronounce that? So he wrote it down, and he wrote down the J, the M, and then he did the Z, but backwards. He goes, how would you pronounce that? And I was like, he's asking me. I was like, jams? He goes, exactly. He goes, what do? You jam on the drums. I was like, and he goes, there, you can have it. It's yours.
Oh, just like that.
Just like that. And I was like, and I thought it was so cool because he did the J, the M, and the Z backwards, right? Yeah. I was like, oh, I have a name, right? Yeah. So then a whole freaking almost a year passed by. I didn't do nothing with this. It was a good, like I've said it before, it was a good conversation starter. So you're still jamming with Signo? Yeah, man. Well, it's been going on. Oh, no, I'm going to start a clothing brand. But I didn't do anything with it. And a really good friend of mine, shout out to my boy, Thomas Diaz from Seguin, he would hear me talk about it. And then just one night after he got fed of me talking about it, he showed up to my house and said, hey, we're going to go meet up with a friend of ours here in town that has a Seguin printing, our friend Jason. And so this is like at nighttime, like 11 o'clock, 10:30 at night. So we go to the print shop and we go. I meet Jason. He's like, "Hey man, Thomas is telling me you want to start like a brand or something." I was like, "Well, yeah, I have a name or whatever." He goes, "Do you have a logo?" And I was like, "No." He's like, he goes, "You got a logo?" I said, "No." And he's like, "Okay, well, JMZ, right? Yeah, okay." So we go. He gets in the computer and he just start going down the arrows, the different fonts. And I was like, no, maybe nah. And then we came to this one. I was like, I like that one. Yeah. So he's like, okay. So he did and goes, like, if you were to make, what would you put on a shirt? And I was like, I don't know. So I had this picture in my phone that said, I am drums. But it was in the Run DMC logo. It said, I am, and then drums on the bottom. So I said, what if we do I am jams? And he goes, okay. So then he mocked on the computer. He got this mock-up T-shirt. And then he did, okay, I am jams. He goes like this. And I was like, oh, man. Like I was looking at it on the computer. Mm-hmm. And he's like, are you pressed for time? I was like, no, why would you? He goes, okay, give me a second. So he leaves. And then I'm talking with Thomas. I'm like, dude, look. Like, dang, look at it. That looks awesome. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, bro, you need to do something already, man. You're talking about it too much and this and that, blah, blah. Then about 30 minutes later, this dude walks in the back in the room, and he chunks me a T-shirt. And he goes, I opened it, and it said, I am Jim. I was like I was holding it. And I told Thomas, take a picture of me right now. So I posted a picture of me holding that shirt like close to midnight. Dude, my phone went wild. People asking me, when is it dropped? Do you have it in black? Do you have big sizes? Do you have girls? Like, it went, like, I didn't know.
You were not expecting that at all?
No.
Wow.
Heck no. And then, so when I did that, right? So now I have this thing, right? And I was just like, whoa. So I did the first line. I did this limited edition I Am Jams T-shirt with my signature in the back. And I ran with it within a friend of mine from West Texas who owns like a printing company, like a screen printing company, reaches out to me. And he's like, dude, why didn't you tell me you were going to do something? I was like, no, I just, whatever. He goes, bro, I'd help you. And I'm like, so he goes, why don't you come to, it was in Midland. His name was Ben Osuna. Shout out to Ben and Basin Graphics. I drive to Midland. And mind you, prior to this trip to Midland, right, I scheduled a photo shoot there in Seguin because I wanted to make posters of me on, I was like, okay, well, maybe make some posters like people could, like a cool poster of me playing the drums or whatever. So as I was there doing this doing this photo shoot at this tattoo parlor, my friend Thomas, he owned a tattoo shop. So I set up a photo shoot there. So I was doing these shots with the drums, and then I went and did some other poses or whatever. So when I was already getting ready to take the drums off from the shot, we had a white background. I told my photographer, Juan Martinez, shout out to Juan. I said, hey, I want to try this thing. He's like, he goes, what? I go, you know how skateboarders, they do the handstand on the skateboard with that on the ramp? He goes, yeah. I go, I want to try something on the drums. He's like, okay, what do you mean? So then I said, hold on. So I put the floor tom, right? And then I put a stick leaning up against the floor tom, against the tension rod from the ground. Then I put the other stick like this. So if you're looking at the picture, it's the floor tom, and then there's a stick, and then there's a stick on the floor. So I said, I'm going to pick myself up, like upside down, take a picture. And he's like, what? I said, look, let me show you. So I went, and I did it. And I go, because I went up, and I go, you would take the picture right there. He goes, oh, okay, I see what you're trying to do. So then I tried doing it, right? And just sometimes I would go and I'd be like that, or I wasn't looking at the camera or whatever, and we couldn't get this shot. So then he goes, well, let's have your friends, let's have them pick you up. Maybe we could Photoshop them out and make it. So they were lifting me up. We're trying to get it. It just wasn't working. And then aparte, I was putting my hands on the rim and putting all this pressure. I started getting indentions in my hands. So I said, you know what? Hold on. Let me get my gloves. I put my gloves back on. So I said, let me try it again. And then, dude, we did this like 30, almost 40 times, and it just wasn't working. I said, let me try it one more time, and we'll figure it out. Or not, no pasa nada. I went, boom, he snapped it. And what's crazy about it is, and it didn't dawn on me until after the fact, is when I'm looking at this picture, I'm like, my foot was perfectly straight in the air, and I'm looking at the camera like it's like the stars lined up. And so it was a picture, right? I get, and then he sends me the pictures after the fact that he edits them and whatever. So we're in Florida when I was with Signo, and we're playing in Immokalee, Florida, and I was showing Checo, the animador. I said, hey, check out my pictures from the photo shoot. And he's like, oh, and so I was showing him some pictures, and I go, check this one out of me on the drum. And Checo looks at the picture, and he's like, hold on.
So when you're standing,
yes. It's the actual picture, right? The actual picture.
Yeah.
So he zooms in on the picture. He gets a napkin, puts the napkin on my phone, and he traces my picture, and he goes, look, like Michael Jordan.
Oh shit!
And I was like, dang. So I literally dated. It was, I'll tell you right now. I have the freaking watch.
Wow.
I have crazy, dude. I have it in my phone. I kept it. So when I decided to go to Midland with my friend that said he wanted to help me, right? I took him. I bet, where's it at? I took him the picture. Mira, ahí está.
Órale. That's what he traced there.
That's what he traced. Yes.
That's the actual drawing.
That's the actual drawing of I have the napkin in my house.
Wow.
I kept it. This is from 2013, August 24th. So I took this picture, this drawing, and I took my picture, the actual picture of me, and I took, which is that one, right? So I took that to my guy. I said, can you make this like Michael Jordan?
Like a silhouette.
Like a silhouette. So he literally put the picture of me, then he started photoshopping it to the tiniest detail. And then the Jams logo that I had, the JMZ, he goes, we need to modify that. That doesn't look legit. I go, well, I just, that's what I found at the time or whatever. So we ended up modifying everything, and then came out, and he made, which is this actual, right here. So which ended up being that.
Órale. Which is what we see now on
what you see
all
now,
the merchandise.
So then I ended up doing it. Is what blows my mind, bro, about this whole ordeal is I played in Abilene, Texas, at this place called the Mule. I'll never forget for as long as I live. This guy comes up to me who's a big fan, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, Joey, watch, I'm gonna show you. He goes, Joey, check this out. This is wild, bro. He tells me, Joey, this is like I'll never forget. I was standing at the merchandise booth. We're just hanging out, and he walks in. He comes, introduces himself. He goes, Joey, check this out.
Oh shit!
And I was like, what the heck? So I was like, oh my God, like that's the first time that somebody tattooed the logo on them. And I was like, what? And I took that's the picture that I took. So then that turned in to all that.
Wow. How does that make you feel, man? To know that there's people out there that have a little piece of you, like, dude, forever, man.
And it's crazy because I was having a conversation with my buddy Raul, who does the Loco Pacion merchandise. Shout out to Raul. Yeah. And he was talking about, I forgot what he was saying about the fans and support. I said, I'll tell you one thing, bro. I said, I've been very fortunate in my career, the experiences that I've had and the places that I've been and the bands that I've played with. Yeah. And the fan base of the bands that I've been in and whatnot. I said, but can you tell me a drummer in this industry that has this? And I showed him that, what I just showed you. Yeah. Dude, you should have seen his face, dude. It's like he discovered white bread for the first time. He looked at my phone like, are you serious, bro? I go, that's support right there. That's permanent. That's forever. Yeah. That's them showing. I mean, I did it to myself for Motley Crue. Yeah. And there's people that did it for me. And I'm like, you know, when I went on tour with Coetzel, the drummer, the manager at the time, Dre Rocha, shout out to Dre, he had made we were eating dinner, all of us at the table, and he made a comment like, they call me Joey Jams. Joey Jams, you had posted one time somebody had a tattoo of your logo? I was like, yeah. Well, you got a picture of it? I said, yeah. I go, is it the only one? I said, check it out. So I showed him the album. And, dude, these guys were freaking out because, first, I'm just a drummer in the back of somebody's band. Exactly. You know? And they're like, they're playing with Coetzel. And Coetzel's already doing arenas. Yeah. They ain't seen that. They were freaking out. Yeah. And even like my friend Raul was like, he hangs with Duelo, with Solido, with all those guys. He goes, dude, I ain't never seen that from a drummer. I go, me either. You know what I mean? Like, but to see stuff like that is just like, wow, man. Like again, it's the ultimate
homage. Exactly.
And I'm just like, wow, like that's a blessing, bro. You know, like it's a huge blessing. I had a buddy of mine who's a very well respected drummer in conjunto music. Send me a message one time recently, like, man, I think it was last year or so, on Facebook Messenger, and he told me, he goes, bro, I gotta hand it to you, man. He said, every single situation that you're in, you make them better. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's like, nobody's ever told me that, you know? And it made me feel good. And I just give the praise to God, because ultimately it's where it comes from, you know? And I just...
You add to the equation instead of subtracting. I want to ask you, brother, there's a band here from the Valley. They're called the Texas Sweethearts.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they're...
Aquí está. Mira, where's it at?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if she was one of those.
She's right there.
Minnie.
Yep.
She was a huge fan. Unfortunately, she passed away last year, man. Pues, ya sabes, she had a situation with cancer. Descansa en paz. But I remember, I didn't get to meet her personally, but I know Elisa and her mom. And they would always tell me, man, Minnie's a real big Joey Jams fan.
Dude, when I as a matter of fact, that was the day that I met her. It was in Beeville in 2018, and she came up to me and I said, hey, can I record you? Because she was just like, you know, just like super awesome and super like just saying wonderful things, you know. And I wanted to capture that, so I recorded her, and I have the video on my phone. And I got to take and when she showed me her arm, I was like, what? Like, again, it was another. Like, wow, man. Like,
caught you off guard.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. And that's what I'm saying, bro. It's like, it's a, ultimately it's a blessing. Like, it's a blessing to experience that type of support. You know, I remember when I left Signo, that year they invited me to Fanfare, Down Music Fanfare there in San Antonio. They have at Market Square. And the powers that be there were like, hey, man, you want to come and set up a booth and sell Jam's merch? I was like, really? They're like, yeah. I was like, I told Starla. She goes, let's go. So right off the bat, we went and bought like a press, a heat press, and all this stuff to make this merch, right? So what was crazy, bro, is that as we were making it, or I'm gonna say she was the one making it. as she was making it, she was making these cups and with the logo, and I was like, man, she goes, post them. So I started posting them, dude. By that night, we purchased what did we purchase on the Cricket or the Heat? What was it?
It was the Cricket.
The Cricket, right? First. So by that night, bro,
We paid it off.
We paid it off.
We were able to purchase a heat press.
Wow.
Because I was making them like with the.
She was literally ironing them on with an iron.
Yeah.
We didn't have a heat press
Wow.
yet. Yeah.
A homemade de tiro.
Homemade the tiro. And dude, and by the end of that night,
We purchased.
we were able to cover to get a heat press and all that. So we go to Fanfare, right? Go to Fanfare. Now, mind you, we don't have no banner, fancy banner that says Joey Jams or Jams or anything. We don't have none of that, right? She had these 8x10s that were like not even like photo paper. They were just like paper with that picture of me on the drum. That's it. She goes, just we'll give them away, or you could sign them or whatever. And we made T-shirts, we made cups, shot glasses, koozies. I forgot what else, buttons, and all this stuff, right? So when the understanding was, you come Saturday, we'll let you come Saturday. I'm like, we're down, we're going. So we get there, and they had this booth for us, right? As we're setting up, the guy says, hey, man, if you want to come tomorrow, also, you're more than welcome, which was Sunday. So I was like, oh, cool, thank you, man. So we got there like at 10 because it starts from noon to midnight. So, dude, we're there. Again, there's booths next to us that have these fancy banners and all this cool looking stuff. And we just have a table, some shirts hanging on a hanger, and a couple mannequins, yeah. A couple of mannequins from her boutique that we put T-shirts on the table. You know, we worked with what we had, right? Yeah. And then we just, I remember she said, well, let's just put one of the little bitty 8x10s, we'll just put it on the top so people could see that it's you. So, dude, there's a picture on my phone where there was a time in the day where there was a line of people to come and either say hi or purchase something, right? So, anyways, after the gig was over, right, we go to the hotel. And she goes, you see all that right there? I'm like, yeah. She goes, that's how many people love you.
But we sold out.
Well, we sold out the next day at 2:00. Yeah. We got there so we go back Sunday. Yeah. Start at noon. By 2:30, we were completely sold out of everything. And the thing is, bro, again, I'm not a band. I'm just the drummer. Yeah. That, you know what I mean? Like I'm the guy. I play drums. I was the drummer in Signo. Dude, that freaked me out, bro. Yeah. That freaked me out on the support from everybody, everywhere. And the crazy part about it, it's still like that. Yeah. And even more so now, any little thing that's going on in my career that I've already, for example, I've already played, let's see, with Loco Pacion, we did Corpus Christi, we did San Antonio, we did Laredo, we just did Eagle Pass and Hidalgo, right? I've played these cities before with Signo, with AB, with Macizo. I've been there already. And I've played in front of, like, you know, Signo was Signo, you know? Yeah. You know, Macizo, they have a name. But this is different because this is my band. Yeah. And talk about when we played our first show as Loco Pacion, a tribute to La Mafia in Corpus Christi, our first live show. And I walked on stage while our intro was on, and I sat behind my drums, and I looked in the audience. Dude, it was packed, bro. And I was like, wow. I just said, thank you, God. Let us have a good show. Amen. And, dude, and it's been like that ever since. Yeah. So now, this time around, you know, I'm talk about just embracing everything and being surrounded by people that love me as far as our circle with the band, the guys in the band, our crew. It's like a big family. We played in San Antonio for the kickoff of Fiesta. After our gig, we took a picture of the crew and the band, everybody, the bosses, everybody involved. Because my wife is our road manager. I told her when I started this band, I said, look, you have to come out here with me. I said, you've seen, because my wife's a businesswoman. She knows the ins and outs. She knows, trust me, she knows how to BS people, and she knows that game. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a salesman. She knows what's up.
Should we get her a microphone?
Right. So when I told her, I said, she's seen what I've gone through in the past, because I vent to her, this is what's going on. This is when we're finding out this and this and that. And she's like, wait, that's not right or whatever, So when I told her, I want you to be a part of this with me. Yeah. So she's there with me. She agreed, she's there with me on the road. And then when shout out to my wife Starla for number one, just being by my side, through thick and thin, no matter what, and to Santos Aguilar, who's our manager for 110 Entertainment. Santos, another thing that relationship that him and I built just happened organically, because believe it or not, I was supposed to get together with his brother, because Santos was being the middleman, telling me, hey, my brother works with Los Palominos. He used to book Fito Olivares for like 20 something years, but now he's with Los Palominos. Maybe he can help you when your band kicks off. So I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I'll talk to him. Let me talk to him, and maybe I'm sure he can help you. That would be awesome. I was like, dude, oh, thank you so much. But then just through conversation, Santos and I just talking, and then the day that we were supposed to have our meeting, we're sitting at the table, Starla and I and Santos, and we're waiting for his brother, and we're just conversing. I just looked at Starla and I said, babe, I just feel this connection with Santos. And she's like, me too. Like, so then when Mike shows up, he sits down, and as we're talking, and then he's telling me, like, so what is it that you want to do, and how do you want to do it, and no regrets. I want to hear exactly how you see your vision. So as I'm telling him and everything, and then we're just conversing, and I just say, I just feel like there's a connection with Santos and I. And he looked at him and he says, do it, brother. Pues dale shine, y'all do it. And he gave us his blessing. And ever since then, bro, shout out to Santos. Like, he's been.
He's also been a big help with any questions we have. Mike.
Oh yeah, because Mike. So Mike is basically like, take it, brother, and whatever you need, whatever guidance you need, I'm here. Yeah. So it's been, and the relationship that I have with Santos has been like, it's literally turned into a brotherhood. Yeah. Him and I, and the fact, he's helped bands in the past book, but he never like advertised it or posted about being a booking agent or nothing like that. He just kind of helped. He knew the game because of his family. His dad was a legendary Tejano musician from the band Los Aguilares. Okay. That's his dad. Emilio was the accordion player. That's Santos' dad. And so Santos knew the game already, so it was second nature to him. So he was telling me, dude, I can do this all day. So I just said, be our guy, be our manager, be our guy. And he's like, let's do it. And
it's so important to have people on board that believe in the project.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why he
exactly. And he told me too, he goes, and he calls me, because I call him coach. We call him coach. Because when you see him, he's a sports guy. Yeah. He's all into baseball and sports. And when he's dressed, he looks like a coach. As I started calling him coach, so he calls me chief, right? So we talk to each other, and he tells me, he's like, and it makes me feel so good, because he tells me, like, thank you for believing in me. Yeah. And I'm like, well, thank you for believing in me. Like, and it's been like, it's crazy, because when people ask me, like, who represents you, or who are you with, and I say Santos Aguilar, they're like, really? And I'm like, because the Aguilares they have
that respect.
Yes, sir. So it makes for an amazing, solid team, and trust me, bro, when I tell you, there's a lot of ins and outs of the business part that I didn't know, and he's has educated Starla and I, and I'm very, very, very grateful for his knowledge, and basically he's the guy that keeps us working, and he's the guy that is the first one to stand up and say no. He has our back. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So I talk about being blessed with an amazing squad. You know, it's even the guys in the band, you know, that have been there. You know, you could tell when somebody's there and excited and going above and beyond to either upgrade their gear or looking for wardrobe ideas or whatever. I mean, everything speaks volumes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So to every single person that is involved with Loco Pacion, the guys in the band, the road crew, the management, talk about, I am very, very grateful and blessed to have every single person that is involved in this squad.
That's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
Pues les deseamos mucho éxito, Joey.
Thank you, man.
Hope, I don't know what your plans are as far as how long you're going to go with the project.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. A lot of people have told me, and I mean, of course, there's people out there that say, well, don't you want to do your own thing? Like, don't you want to, you know? And I tell people, I said, look, you don't understand. For the first time in my career, I've been doing this a long time. For the first time in my career, I'm playing the music I've always dreamed of playing. I said, so, and if I could do that until the Lord takes me, then so be it. Yeah. And if I can do it with the squad that I have, we're going to go till these wheels fall off. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, look, the fans are the ones that are speaking. Yeah. You know what I mean? And aparte from that, when it all boils down to, Mafia gave me the blessing. Yeah. So that right there is like, you know what? I mean, it's like I said, we've already played, so we're gonna do. This will be our 9th gig or 8th gig, apenas, right? And dude, it's like every time we get on stage and play, it's like the first time, you know. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing vibe, and I'm so blessed and grateful. And I mean, you never know what life can hand to you, so I'm taking it and just embracing it, cherishing it, and protecting it with everything that I have.
Claro. Do you see you guys opening up a concert for La Mafia?
I've said that. I spoke that into existence. That for us, that would be the ultimate show, because we can literally do 90 minutes of music that they don't play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know, like, so maybe one day, you know, if they do a farewell tour, or maybe if one day, and I've you know, I'm really good friends with them, and I'm really good friends with their manager, Tony Ramirez, really good friend of mine. Shout out to Tony. Yeah. And of course, everybody in La Mafia for, you know, even allowing us to do, because ultimately, you know, they're the guys, you know. And I've always said it, like, hopefully one day they'll say, you know what?
Just don't make them want to go before you guys.
I know, right? Yeah.
But no, man, it's I love the fact that to see all the mafiosos that are out there that embrace us and say, man, you guys sound amazing. And but that was the goal from the jump, is we have to honor that legacy.
Algo bien hecho.
Yes, you have to. And the fact that I sit here and say with all the confidence in the world that I know that we are. And I think Mondo knew that too. That's how come he said, you're going to give it the integrity. Because at the end of the day, plain and simple, black and white, there is only one La Mafia. Claro, there will never be another La Mafia. And trust me when I tell you this, when I'm around those guys, I'm still starstruck. Like, man, that's Mondo, that's Oscar, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm a representation of them. Yeah. And I'm doing my best to fly that flag the right, respectful way.
Yeah. Well, I think if anybody was going to do it, it was definitely you, man. I mean, you got the experience, you got the integrity to do it, so props to you, man. Les deseamos mucho éxito. Carnal, yo me acuerdo cuando estaba la pandemia, todo lo que daba en el 2020, tú empezaste a hacer muchos lives.
Yes.
That's when you were hitting the lives really hard. Y obviamente, pues yo los miraba, pues para ver, ¿qué va a decir Joey? ¿Va a tocar la batería o qué onda? Pero algo que me sacó chingos de onda es cuando te escuché hablar español, carnal. cuando todo, porque acuérdate que ahí tenías mucha interacción con la raza de México.
Así es.
Había muchos bateristas de Monterrey, del DF, que, Joey, cuando te saludé acá y que...
Y siempre, a veces que siempre me ponen en español, no entiendo ni
Sí.
madre.
I know, exactly. Pero me saqué de onda que cuando les mandaba saludos a ellos, les hablabas en español.
Pues, claro.
y me quedé como, oh, like, lo habla bien. Se le entiende todo lo
Well,
que está
the thing
diciendo.
is that I learned right away. Well, not right away, but I wanted to educate myself because when I was playing with AB,
Yeah.
and I would think, okay, people are gonna want to talk, or
Yeah.
people are gonna say like, oh, you know, why do you have that tattoo, or why do you look this way, or why do you do this, or whatever. So I wanted to educate myself on what does it mean, how do you talk it, what's the slang, and aparte, I didn't want nobody to talk about me, and I didn't know what they were saying, you know.
Yeah.
So I would just ask a lot of questions, and I would, you know, and I think I've gotten a lot better now. Trust me when I say this. I do it when I have to do it. You know what I mean? Like if I have a choice.
Like, you guys are not at home going back and forth in Spanish, right?
I know who knows Spanish.
Okay.
Dude, you don't even want to know what we went through today, but I'm not gonna say. But I'm not gonna say.
Let it out, let it
Because
out, let it out.
I'm not gonna say. Okay, so and she told me it wasn't that funny. It's because It's because we're talking about this week. We're talking about this Friday's
Man, this
gig.
is gonna be good, man.
We're talking about this Friday's show in Katy. We're playing in Katy, Texas, this
Right.
Friday, and it's Loco Pacion. It's Mike Gonzalez and the Iconics, which and it's basically a tribute night because it's us paying tribute to La Mafia. Mike Gonzalez, who pays tribute to his dad, Jimmy Gonzalez from Grupo Mas,
Oh, sure.
and then the Cinco Doce tribute to Selena. They're called the Cinco Doce tribute to the Tejano Queen. So when we were talking, I was coming out of the store and I heard the song El Chico de Apartame con Cinco Doce, right? So I said something. I go, babe, do you know what that means? This and she goes, what? No, I said, yes. Listen, El Chico de Apartamento 512. The guy from the apartment 25. I started laughing. I go, 25. She
Where'd
goes,
that
yes.
come from?
No, she goes, well, I don't know Spanish. I go, no, babe, 512. Oh, 52. I started laughing, dude. And she was like, okay, it wasn't that funny. But no. I mean, I say things like, sometimes I'll say stuff like phrases in Spanish, and she understands me. I'll tell you something real quick. When I was playing with Macizo, right, we did this gig in Richmond, Rosenberg, and Lupita Lizondo from Primer Impacto, que en paz descanse, I've known Lupita since I was playing with AB, and she went to the venue to do an interview with us, and she wanted to interview Isaías from Macizo because, you know, he was a lead singer and parecía Gerardo Ortiz, right? He looked
That's right. He got a
so
lot
she
of,
was there, yeah.
a lot of that. I
So
remember
she was talking with us, doing an interview with us, right? So then, I don't know what we were doing, and she went and sat down at the table with Starla, and we're talking, and then I look and I'm like, and they're laughing, and I'm like,
carrying on a conversation, como si
what
nada.
the fuck are they talking about? My wife don't know Spanish, but somehow Lupita understood her, but Starla can understand certain things.
Yeah.
You know, if you talk to her in Spanish, sometimes that, you know, she has a boutique, you know, and sometimes one time this customers
People
came
show
in,
up?
people come in and they were, I forgot what they told her. I don't even remember exactly. It was the equivalent to like them saying, "Do you have this in large?" And she said $5. Like it was that type of deal. It was that type of thing. It was that.
Chinga.
I was like, and I went to go talk to them, but no,
I knew I was wrong because they were looking at me like,
yeah, but I say
Their
I say,
reaction, it told you.
I knew
but I came to rescue her. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
So I try, like I'll say certain phrases, and she'll understand. I mean, for the most part, if you talk to her, like she'll understand, but she speaks. I mean, of course, you know, she's 100% English. You know, she'll say some things in Spanish or whatever. Or she'll tell me things that I'm like, that is not right.
The bad words when she's mad at you.
No, you know what? She doesn't even say stuff like that. She doesn't. But you know, I told her, I said, babe, you're gonna have to learn. I mean, you're gonna be on the road with us. You know, you're gonna have to learn certain things. And like, if you have to go say something about the merch or something to deal with promoters or whatever, you know, you have to learn. So we'll eventually cross that bridge when we get there. So I'm rooting for her. I'm in her corner. Yeah.
Pues you never know, man. Loca Pacion en Monterrey, en la Ciudad de
Dude,
México.
you know what? I'll tell you.
You never know, man.
You made a comment earlier through conversation about how a lot of the Mexicans, muchos mexicanos conocen la música de la mafia desde Está Tocando Fuego hasta la fecha. But I met this promoter when we played in Randy's ballroom. Se llamaba Ricardo.
Okay.
And Ricardo came up to me. He goes, hey, Joey, no mames, güey. El pinche grupo suena con madre, güey. Es otro nivel, carnal. He goes, pero me das un favor. I said, ¿qué onda? He was part of the promotional team. He goes, no te olvides los mexicanos. He goes, porque los mexicanos lo aman a la mafia de esa época, de los 80s.
Really?
Porque te acuerdas que la mafia entró en Monterrey cuando salió el disco de Explosive in 89.
Really?
Yeah. And but they would only do like the fronteras or whatever. They hadn't gone, you know, más para allá or San Luis or stuff like that. But he was telling me, and he goes, you guys, he goes, the blessing about what you're doing, you get to cater to both.
Yeah.
He goes, so I can, because he wanted to bring us to San Antonio. And my manager said, well, we're not going to come back till next year. He goes, but what if I bring you to Corona? And Corona is regional Mexican. He goes, yo te puedo traer con unos traileros or invasores. Or, he goes, because when we hire La Mafia don't come with Tejano bands. They come with like Reyes Locos or with the traileros or, you know, around that onda.
Gruperos.
So, gruperos. Yeah. So he was telling me, and dude, a lot of people from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Colombia, que son fanáticos de La Mafia, are like, ojalá un día que se vienen para acá.
Wow.
So, hey, we're up for whatever. Yeah. You know, I'm, and that's the thing is like my goal. I guess the goal would be like to become this entity that could go and travel and do the House of Blues in California or casinos and bring this era, which I think is a huge era in the history book of La Mafia, to the forefront of people. Because I mean, Mafia does what they do. I mean, they're La Mafia, bro. You know, they do what they do. But I guess when you have a gazillion amount of hits, how do you pick which ones to put in a 90-minute show or a 2-hour show?
It's impossible, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I remember seeing Mafia back in, 2010. They did a show in my hometown, Seguin, Texas, and it was called Una Noche con la Mafia. And it said on the poster, 3 hours straight, dude, and talk about, like, when they were already 2.5 hours in, they came out with another hit, and it was just hits all night, bro. I mean, they're just legends, icons, you know. And again, you know, it's a huge blessing that we're allowed to go out and pay homage to the greatest Tejano band that's ever been.
Yeah, but you're talking about decades, man. Not years, decades.
Yes, sir.
Of music. So, qué chingón, Joey. Pues, I want to say, thank you so much for making this happen for us. Muchas gracias. Of course, we've all seen the interviews. We've seen the videos of you, you know, telling your story. But it's very different to experience it en persona. You know?
First and foremost, man, I appreciate the invite. You know,
problem.
It means everything that, you know, that you guys reached out and you know, wanted me to be part. I mean, dude, trust me when I tell you this. I'm always down for whatever. All the time. I enjoy it. You know, that's how come like I said, I go and do lives at my house and then I go back and watch
Check
them.
Carlos.
Yeah.
No, pero the fact that you come and you open your heart, man, you share all these stories. Muchas gracias, man.
Thank you.
And I want to say that we're going to leave the door open if ever you want to come back. Ojalá que sea pronto. Aquí está tienes tu casa, como decimos en español.
I appreciate you guys.
Mr. Joy.
Thank you so much for the support, man.
Claro.
You know, the interest.
Yeah.
You know, that means more to me than anything, and allowing me to get my stories across, you know, the platforms, and it means everything, you know, especially to the fans that have followed me through my career for 30 plus years. You know, at the end of the day, I'm very, very, very grateful and appreciative to every single one of them.
Absolutely, man. For people that want to follow you, man, you're on all social media platforms.
Everything.
Joey Jams.
Joey
Jimenez.
Jams. Facebook. JJ Crew. JJ CRUE, like Motley Crue.
Right.
JJ Crew on Instagram. I am Jams on TikTok.
Right.
And then, of course, everything Loco Pacion official on throughout, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everything.
Yeah.
So, be sure to
follow them, Raza.
follow us. Yeah.
Follow 'em.
It
It helps a
and-
lot, man. Every like, every comment helps, man. To get
And
'em
be
out
sure to
there.
share with your family and friends,
Claro.
And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out on the road.
All right, man. Pues ahí lo tienen. A toda la raza que ve este capítulo, muchas gracias. Queremos invitarlos a que nos sigan en redes sociales. Denos un like, denle un follow. Sigan a Joey Jams Jiménez. No les decimos adiós, sino hasta la próxima. Cuídense. Chao.